Chapter 48. That's weird. I'm young and busy, so I can't update regularly. Please forgive me. Although there were 4 seasons in a year, it seemed that most of the time, there were only summer and winter. Spring and autumn passed in the blink of an eye. It was already a little cold in Shanghai in mid-November. The rain made the pedestrians feel a little bleak. The flowers and trees on the roadside had begun to welcome the arrival of winter. Not long after Qin Sheng walked out of Thompson Golf Resort with an umbrella in his hand, a Volkswagen Mighty blocked his way. 3 men got out of the car, looking like they were the bad guys. Qin Sheng subconsciously stopped and raised his vigilance. He wondered if Zhou Wenwu's matter had been exposed, or if his old enemy had come to Shanghai to chase after him again. "Are you Qin Sheng?" the leading man asked coldly. He was wearing a black suit, and his hair was tied up in a pigtail. He looked quite artistic. The other 2 men should be his underlings. Qin Sheng bowed slightly, facing the unknown danger at any time. He said softly, "I am Qin Sheng. Who are you?" "You don't need to know who I am. Someone wants to see you," the artist man said arrogantly. He was really good at acting tough. However, Qin Sheng did not buy it. He thought, "Don't think that I have to go with you just because you look like bad guys." Qin Sheng smiled helplessly and was about to bypass the 3 men to continue to the bus station. Unexpectedly, the underling next to him directly pulled him and shouted at the same time, "Brother Jun is talking to you. Are you deaf?" When the underling was about to touch Qin Sheng's shoulder, Qin Sheng suddenly reached out like lightning. He grabbed the underling's wrist and twisted it. The underling screamed in pain. However, Qin Sheng did not stop there. Instead, he hit the underling's armpit and ribs with his elbow. In the end, he pulled the underling toward him with all his strength and directly hit him with his shoulder. The whole action was so smooth that Brother Jun and the other underling did not have the time to react. The underling fell on the ground and was in so much pain that he could not stand up at all. The artist man called Brother Jun's expression changed instantly. Only then did he remember that his boss told him to be polite before he left. He immediately put away his arrogance, because obviously they were no match for the man in front of him. "Mr. Qin, my underling is not sensible. Please don't be angry." Brother Jun quickly apologized. Qin Sheng did not want to be entangled with these people. He said casually, "If there's nothing else, I'm going to work. Mr. Qin, our boss wants to see you. Please do us a favor tonight." Brother Jun was afraid that he could not complete the task and would be punished, so he said hurriedly. Qin Sheng shook his head and said, "I don't even know who your boss is. Obviously, I don't know him either. How can I give you face? Our boss is Mr. Li Jun of Xinghe Industry. Although you haven't seen him before, he knows you and wants to make friends with you." Brother Jun continued. Qin Sheng seemed to have heard of this name, but he definitely did not know who it was. He hesitated for a while and said, "Address. I'll get off work at 6 p.m. I'll be there." Brother Jun quickly reported the address, Sinan Mansion. Qin Sheng nodded thoughtfully. Without saying anything, he left directly. "Brother Jun, who is this Qin Sheng? Why is he so powerful?" After Qin Sheng left, the underling next to him helped the injured man up and asked with a puzzled face. Mr. Li was a famous man. In recent years, he had been doing well in the Bund. Why did he give face to an unknown junior? Qin Sheng did not seem to appreciate it. Brother Jun frowned and said, "You know nothing about Mr. Li's business. You are a disgrace. You almost made a mistake. Get out of here." After cursing a few times, the few of them finally drove away. This little episode did not affect Qin Sheng's mood. He had experienced too many things in the past few years. He was no longer the college student in the ivory tower who often met strange people and interesting things. When he arrived at Shangshan Ruoshui, there was no one except for the security personnel on duty at night. The security department was a secondary department, second only to the reception department. There was a manager and 2 deputy managers. No matter day or night, there was a manager on duty. At the same time, there was a police station next to Shangshan Ruoshui. There was a police station not far away. So far, there had been no accidents, not to mention the big boss Jiang Xianbang was behind it. Qin Sheng changed his clothes and came out. He met Chun Xiangyang, the manager of the security department, who was on duty last night. Qin Sheng had learned about the heads of the departments in Shangshan, Ruoshui yesterday. Naturally, he recognized Chen Xiangyang. This was also the first time he saw Chen Xiangyang. But this man looked a little pale. His eyes were swollen, and his face was yellow. "Brother Chen," Qin Sheng greeted politely. Yuan Hua had already told the security department that Qin Sheng was arranged by Mr. Su. Chen Xiangyang naturally knew that. After all, he knew everyone in Shangshan Ruoshui. Only Qin Sheng was the first time he met him. So he said, "You are Qin Sheng?" Qin Sheng smiled and nodded. "Do well. Shangshan Ruoshui is a good place." Chen Xiangyang patted Qin Sheng's shoulder and said, "Brother Chen, are you ready to get off work? I think you don't look very good. Take care of your body." Qin Sheng kindly reminded him. Chen Xiangyang should be about 40 years old. When a man reached this age, he should pay more attention to his health. Chen Xiangnan casually thanked him and then left. He did not say anything more to Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng walked upstairs and downstairs twice. Not long after, other employees also came. Yuan Hua was still on the day shift today. At night, another deputy manager was in charge. In the reception department, Liu Yuan came the earliest. He was indeed the best son. Mizzen arrived on time, but after everyone arrived, they immediately got busy. But this morning, there were no members visiting and no activities arranged. Qin Sheng followed Liu Yuan to the reception department for a meeting. Mizzen formally introduced Qin Sheng to everyone. Qin Sheng politely greeted everyone. Only then did he realize that there were only 6 men in the reception department, including him. The rest were all beautiful women, but the men who could stay here were all lucky. Unfortunately, Shangshan Ruoshui prohibited internal love affairs. Once found, both parties would be expelled. This rule seemed to be set by Mr. Su. Qin Sheng continued to study with Liu Yuan. At lunchtime, he found Ms. N and wanted to take 2 days off. He said that he wanted to go back to his hometown to deal with some private affairs. Ms. N frowned and said, "Qin Sheng, you just came and you want to take a leave. It doesn't look good." "Ms. N, this is the only time." Qin Sheng had to accompany Han Bing to Tianshui. This was his way of doing things. This time it was not for Han Bing, but because he respected Mr. Wu and Chen Baiming. Ms. N, who was wearing a gray dress today, squinted at Qin Sheng and said, "Qin Sheng, you young people are too impetuous sometimes. The most important thing in life is to seize the opportunity. You're only in your internship period. Don't make things difficult for Mr. Su." "Ms. N, I understand what you mean. I will definitely not let you down." Qin Sheng did not beg. He just said casually, if Ms. N did not agree, he would look for Mr. Su. If Mr. Su did not agree, he would look for Jiang Xianbei. Ms. N did not make a decision on her own. Instead, she took a step back and said, "Then you go and talk to Mr. Su. If he agrees, I have no objection. I will inform the administrative department." "Thank you," Ms. N Qin Sheng said happily. Qin Sheng did not go to Su Lansheng directly. He did not want others to think that his relationship with Su Lansheng was not simple. Instead, he directly called Su Lansheng and told him that he was going to Tianshui to deal with something. As expected, Su Lansheng agreed. Then Qin Sheng told Ms. N, and it was finally settled. Qin Sheng, who was in his internship period, got off work at 6 o'clock in the evening. He was a little busy in the afternoon. Because today was Friday, several groups of members came. Qin Sheng still did not have the opportunity to meet them directly. Instead, he followed behind and helped them. Everyone had to rise up from the bottom. Qin Sheng did not have any opinion on this. After work, Qin Sheng did not rush back to Thompson Golf. Instead, he came out and called Jiang Xianbang to ask, "Uncle Jiang, do you know the details of Li Jun of Xinghe Industry?" "Li Jun of Xinghe Industry. How did you get involved with him?" Jiang Xianbang, who was accompanying the leader outside, asked in confusion. Qin Sheng smiled bitterly and said, "I don't know. He wants to see me. I have an appointment at Sinan Mansion tonight." "That's a bit strange. Has Zhou Wenwu's matter been exposed?" "That's not right. Zhou Wenwu is backed by the Yin family. Li Jun is a rising star. Behind him is another force, which belongs to the big shots of Ningbo gang. He has nothing to do with the Yin family. Why does he want to see you?" Jiang Xianbang was also curious. After hearing Jiang Xianbang's words, Qin Sheng frowned and said, "Should I go or not?" "You have to go. You can't do anything that will embarrass him. But you have to be careful. If you feel something is wrong, find a way to withdraw," Jiang Xianbang suggested. Qin Sheng nodded silently and said, "Okay, I got it." Before hanging up the phone, Qin Sheng did not forget to say, "By the way, I took 2 days off to accompany Hanbing back to Tianshui to do the last thing." "Have you told Su Lansheng?" Jiang Xianbang asked calmly. Anyway, Su Lansheng was responsible for Shangshan Ruoshui. Qin Sheng knew what Su Lansheng meant. He smiled and said, "You don't have to worry about these things. Boy, be careful on the road. If something happens, find Zhao Quan." Jiang Xianbang laughed and scolded. Chapter 49. Why, when encountering something, Qin Sheng would never choose to escape, but to find ways to solve it. No matter how difficult it was, he would try his best. At worst, he would get half the result with twice the effort. If a man wanted to succeed, this was the most basic ability. Once he flinched, it would often become a habit. When the opportunity came, if it was accompanied by difficulties and setbacks, he would often choose to escape subconsciously. Before coming to Shanghai, Qin Sheng knew what kind of life he was going to lead and what kind of things he might encounter. He had originally chosen a road full of thorns and setbacks. The only thing he could do was to brace himself and move forward. He could not retreat and go back on the road. As long as Li Jun was not a demon or a ghost or a god or a Buddha, Qin Sheng would definitely meet him. He did not have the ability to offend such a person. Even if he was very reluctant, he had to go, not to mention that Qin Sheng was not unwilling. Sinan Mansion was very close to Shangshan Ruoshui. It took only 10 minutes to walk there. Hanbing's design company was not far away. Qin Sheng had already learned from Chang Baji that Hanbing was in the design company today. She did not need to worry too much about Guoping Group. Zheng Ping had reached an agreement with the creditors on behalf of the company. The two sides set up a committee to deal with this matter together. Sinan Mansion was the only project in the center of Shanghai that aimed to preserve and protect garden houses. It had 51 historic garden houses adjacent to the elegant Fuxing Park, the convenient Chongqing South Road in the east, and a quiet Sinan Road running through it. The former residence of Sun Zhongshan was in the north, and it was next to the Zhou Mansion of our party's Shanghai office. Modern historical celebrities Liu Yazi and Mei Lanfang once lived here. There were boutique hotels, serviced apartments, corporate residences, and commercial districts, which complemented the century-old classic buildings and the former residences of celebrities along Huaihai Road. It became the most distinctive scenery in the center of Shanghai, with humanities, history, and fashion. The place where Li Jun, the rising star, asked Qin Sheng to meet was in the Sinan Mansion Hotel. He booked a detached house with a garden here and hired 2 chefs to cook. Most of the time, he lived here. That brother Jun had been standing at the entrance of the hotel waiting for Qin Sheng since 6 o'clock. However, after seeing Qin Sheng, he finally felt relieved. He was afraid that Qin Sheng would stand him up. If that happened, he would completely lose face in front of his boss. "Mr. Qin, you're here. Mr. Li is already waiting for you inside." Brother Jun, who had a braid, greeted Qin Sheng eagerly. He was not as arrogant as he was when he first saw Qin Sheng in the morning. He was afraid that if he said something wrong and got beaten up by this man, his boss would probably punish him. Qin Sheng said calmly, "Take me in." Brother Jun stretched out his hand politely, and then carefully led Qin Sheng to the garden house where Boss Li lived. It had to be said that the environment of Sinan Mansion was really good, more tasteful than those hotels on high-rise buildings in Pudong. There were 2 bodyguards at the door of the foreign-style house. They naturally stopped Qin Sheng and gestured for him to be searched. Qin Sheng looked slightly angry. Beside him, Brother Jun said embarrassedly, "Mr. Qin, this is the rule. I hope you don't mind." Qin Sheng was serious and took the initiative to open his hands for them to check. The check was very detailed, but it was not too much. It was estimated that they just wanted to save face. Later, Qin Sheng was taken into the foreign-style house by Brother Jun compared with Jiang Xianbang's mansion and Shangshan Ruoshui. The single-family foreign-style house of Sinan Mansion was naturally less tasteful. Although it had a restaurant, kitchen, and so on, it was a hotel after all, and they were reluctant to spend so much money. In the living room, a man in his early 30s was watching TV with a sexy and enchanting beauty in his arms. The man's hair was combed back, and he was dressed casually in ordinary sweatpants and short-sleeved shirts. He wore a pair of sandals on his feet. His hand had already reached into the V-neck of the beauty next to him and was touching her. He was Li Jun of Xinghe Industry, a rising star of Shanghai Bund. "Boss, Mr. Qin is here," Brother Jun whispered to remind him. Li Jun then let go of the beauty next to him. He stood up calmly and laughed. "Brother Qin, I've been waiting for you. Come on, sit down." Before Qin Sheng came here, he searched for information about Xinghe Industry and Li Jun. He found nothing on the internet. What he could find were some scraps. It seemed that this man was quite low-key. He politely said, "I've heard of Mr. Li's name for a long time, but I didn't expect to meet you. I hope Mr. Li can take care of me." Qin Sheng would naturally say such words on such occasions. After all, it was the first time they met. Qin Sheng would not go up to him and confide in him, just like a long-lost brother. After all, they were not at the same level. Li Jun stood up and waved his hand, motioning the beauty in his arms to go upstairs. He slowly walked in front of Qin Sheng, put his arm around Qin Sheng's shoulder, and said, "Brother Qin Sheng, you'd better leave these polite words to others. Although it's the first time we meet, I appreciate you very much. I'm 33 this year, a few years older than you. If you don't mind, you can call me Brother Li." Up to now, Qin Sheng still did not know what Li Jun was selling, but Li Jun was not at the same level as him at all. Since Li Jun could give him such face, Qin Sheng had to bear it no matter how reluctant he was. How dare I mind? I'm afraid that I'll climb up the social ladder. After all, I'm just a nobody with a small nose and small eyes. Li Jun motioned Qin Sheng to sit down. Qin Sheng said with a smile. Li Jun asked the servant to serve tea and deliberately said with a straight face, "Look, I don't like what you said. Who doesn't have a small nose and small eyes? Today, there are only two of us. It has nothing to do with our identity and background. If you're too polite, I'll be really disappointed." "Brother Li," Qin Sheng shouted directly after he had finished his modest words. Li Jun laughed and said, "That's right. Xiao Jun, ask the kitchen if it's ready. I'm already a little hungry." It was already time for dinner. Li Jun knew that Qin Sheng must not have eaten, so he had already told him. Not long after, Brother Jun ran back and said, "Boss, dinner is ready. Qin Sheng, let's go. Let's eat and talk." Li Jun said to Qin Sheng with a smile. Qin Sheng followed him and stood up. Li Jun said happily, "Can you drink? It should be okay to drink a little." Li Jun knew that this was a polite remark. If this kind of person did not drink, it would be even more terrible. He smiled and said, "White, red, or foreign, I have all kinds of wine. White is the best," Qin Sheng said lightly. Qin Sheng's alcohol tolerance was not bad. He could drink any kind of wine. When he was in a good mood, he could drink more. Most people were like this. After Li Jun heard it, he immediately ordered, "Bring 2 bottles of my treasured Maodai." At the dining table, there were no outsiders. Qin Sheng and Li Jun sat opposite each other, which made Qin Sheng feel a little funny. After all, the person sitting here was not Jiang Xianbang. Li Jun was a big boss. Why did he give him face? What did he want? They're all simple Ningbo dishes. I don't know if you're used to it. Li Jun was from Ningbo. Naturally, he had to use his hometown dishes to entertain guests. If he was not used to it, he would change the taste next time. Qin Sheng replied truthfully, "Zhujiang dishes are sweet. I can eat it occasionally, but I can't eat it every day." "Ha ha ha. Foreigners always say so." Li Jun laughed and said, "People in different places had different eating habits." After laughing, he raised his glass and said, "Come on, let's drink first." After drinking a glass of wine, Li Jun's eyes changed slightly and said, "I heard that Lao Di studied in Shanghai. After graduation, I couldn't find a job, so I went out to wander for 2 years." This sentence was very subtle. Li Jun must have investigated a lot of things about him since he could invite him here. This was also a test. Qin Sheng didn't mind telling him directly about these things that everyone knew, so he didn't want to waste so much time talking to him. Li Jun was a little surprised and said, I didn't expect that Lao Di was a top graduate from Fudan University. Philosophy department of Fudan University is a trump card. Unfortunately, I only cared about playing when I was in school. Later, I had to spend money to enter 3 diploma schools. Now I regret it more or less. Brotherly, I really can't answer your words. How many graduates from Fudan University can reach your position? Qin Sheng laughed and said. Li Jun laughed and replied, Brother, sooner or later, you will be like this. I really rarely see young people like you. Moreover, you have Brother Zhang's support. Li Jun took the initiative to mention Jiang Xianbang. It seemed that he knew a lot, which made Qin Sheng's face slightly changed. I am just a nobody. Brother Li is flattering me. Qin Sheng drank by himself and said softly. Li Jun pointed at Qin Sheng and said happily, Brother, you are too modest. You must be curious why I want to see you. After all, we don't have much interaction. We are both smart people. Sometimes it is quite annoying when smart people are together with smart people. You have to go around dozens of circles to get to the point. It is better to go straight to the point. It is more comfortable. Li Jun pointed at Qin Sheng and said happily, Brother, you are too modest. Then I want to know, what qualifications do I have to enter the eyes of such a big man like Brother Li? Qin Sheng suddenly said such a sentence. After hearing this, Li Jun put away the smile on his face and said seriously, What do you think? I really don't know. Qin Sheng shook his head and said, The answer must be revealed by Li Jun. Li Jun sneered and said, Why? Because I want to see what kind of person the man who dared to kill Zhou Wenwu is. Chapter 50. If it wasn't you, who would it be? My entire left leg is throbbing in pain and numbness. I'm currently undergoing conservative treatment, so I can only lie down. Plus, it's the Lunar New Year period, so I've been embarrassed to update. However, as long as I have time to write, I'll try my best to update. I hope everyone can understand. I can't do anything to those who scold me. After all, my body is the most important thing. If I scold the person next door, how am I going to live in the future if my waist is already failing at the age of 27? How can I live in the future? Qin Sheng really didn't know how to respond to this sentence. Could be that what happened that night was really exposed. If so, he would not be able to stay in Shanghai in the future. Not to mention the Yin family behind Zhou Wenwu. Zhou Wenwu's trusted subordinates were enough to make him embarrassed. However, Qin Sheng didn't think that they were careless that night, so it was more likely that Li Jun guessed or tricked him. Therefore, Qin Sheng's brain was spinning fast. How to answer Li Jun's question. 2 seconds. This moment only lasted for 2 seconds. Qin Sheng panicked and said, Brother Li, don't joke about this. It will bring me a fatal disaster. I'm just a small character. How can I be involved in this kind of thing? Li Jun held a wine glass in one hand and touched his swept-back hair with the other. He stared at Qin Sheng with a playful look and said, Is it really not you? Did I guess wrong? But why does my intuition tell me that it was you? I wouldn't dare to do it even if I had 10,000 guts. Any character on Brother Zhou's side can easily trample me to death, Qin Sheng said in fear and trepidation. Li Jun raised his head and drank the wine. He stared at Qin Sheng and said, Qin Sheng, I just said that you and I are both smart, but sometimes we are too long-winded. Do you really think that I invited you here without knowing anything? Qin Sheng muttered in his heart, We are not at the same level. How can I be so straightforward? I won't even know how I die. After Han Guoping committed suicide, you accompanied Han Bing to send Han Guoping back to Tianshui, Gansu province. I don't know what happened in between, but you came back alive. Han Guoping's confidants, Old Man Wu and Chun Baiming, died in Tianshui. Everyone knows that Han Guoping's confidant, Zhao Dongsheng, colluded with Zhou Wenwu and wanted to kill Han Guoping's daughter, Han Bing, and take over Han Guoping's business. However, Zhou Wenwu suddenly disappeared. Obviously, he didn't run away. At present, he should be dead. Later, Zhao Dongsheng also died. Do you know how Zhao Dongsheng died? Li Jun continued to say. Qin Sheng shook his head this time and said, I really don't know. I killed him. Li Jun suddenly revealed a creepy expression and laughed loudly. Qin Sheng was stunned again. What the hell? During that time, I sent people to follow Zhao Dongsheng. Zhao Dongsheng and Zhou Wenwu were inseparable, so I found out that you were following Zhao Dongsheng and Zhou Wenwu. I definitely didn't dare to touch Zhou Wenwu, but I didn't expect you to be so bold. You killed Zhou Wenwu quietly. You really got rid of the evil for the people. So you don't need to do anything to Zhao Dongsheng. It just so happens that I have some grievances with you, so I will do you a favor. Li Jun said unscrupulously, as if he was not afraid that Qin Sheng would say these things. After Li Jun finished his words, Qin Sheng slowly gave in and said, I promised Master Han that I would protect Han Bing for him, so I will do what I have to do. But I really didn't kill Zhou Wenwu. I don't have the ability and courage to do so. But I really have to thank Brother Li for killing Zhao Dongsheng, so that Han Bing is completely safe. At this time, Qin Sheng, you are still playing tricks with me. It seems that you don't treat me as a friend. Li Jun was a little unhappy. Qin Sheng would not admit it, even if he was beaten to death. He thought, we're not close brothers. Do you think I will tell you everything just because we drank a few glasses of wine? Do you really think I am a 3-year-old kid? Therefore, Qin Sheng shook his head and sighed, Brotherly, I have admitted what I should admit, but I really don't lie to you. I really didn't do it. You really didn't do it? Li Jun stared at Qin Sheng and said, trying to figure out whether Qin Sheng was telling the truth or not. He said to himself, then who did it? Qin Sheng still showed fear and trepidation, for fear that Li Jun really thought that it was him who did it. Who cares who did it? Anyway, he is already dead. That kind of person deserves to die 100 times. Come on, let's drink. Li Jun suddenly laughed, which shocked Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng smiled and drank 2 glasses of wine with Li Jun. He thought that the matter was over, but Li Jun said again, Qin Sheng, I heard that you have a good relationship with Brother Jiang. Qin Sheng was a little confused and said, I just have a little relationship with Uncle Jiang. This is not the news I heard. I heard that Brother Jiang used a valuable Yuan Dynasty blue and white porcelain to protect you from Third Master Wu. But I'm not very clear why he let you go to Shangshan Ruoshui to be an ordinary receptionist. Is it to train you from the most basic level? Li Jun said with a smile. He had investigated Qin Sheng thoroughly, so he had plenty of time to play with Qin Sheng slowly. Qin Sheng was a little unhappy. He really did not like this feeling. He sneered and said, I didn't expect Brother Li to know me so well. I don't mean anything else. Li Jun shrugged. Qin Sheng asked again, I think Brother Li asked me to come here today should not be to drink and chat with me. Of course, I don't have that kind of free time. As for whether Zhou Wenwu's matter was done by you or not, it has nothing to do with me. I'm just very curious about you, and I'm also quite optimistic about you. I want to ask if you're interested in hanging out with me. Li Jun no longer hid and said straightforwardly. This made Qin Sheng very surprised. He did not expect that this was the ultimate purpose of Li Jun. He was stunned for a moment and replied, Thank you for your appreciation, Brother Li. How can I work with you? Besides, I just arrived at Shangshan Ruoshui. If I leave like this, I can't explain to Uncle Jiang. If I am really unhappy in Shangshan Ruoshui in the future, I will come to you again and hope you can give me a bowl of rice. Your words are really watertight. Remember not to offend Brother Jiang or me. Qin Sheng, I really appreciate you. Qin Sheng did not accept the olive branch, and Li Jun did not continue to pester him. Moreover, what he said may not be true or false. Maybe he was just testing Qin Sheng's character. Thank you, Brother Li, Qin Sheng said respectfully. Li Jun got up and said, Well, I still have something to do. I can't continue to accompany you. If you have any problems in the future, you could directly find me. I will selectively help you within the scope of my ability. This sentence was obviously to send Qin Sheng away. No matter how insensible Qin Sheng was, he knew that he should get out of here. So he got up happily and said, Well, then I won't bother you. You can come to Shangshan Ruoshui when you have time. I will entertain you personally. Li Jun did not answer, just waved his hand, and Qin Sheng smiled and left. After Qin Sheng left, Li Jun immediately called Brother Jun and said, Xiao Jun, keep an eye on him and see if there is anyone outside to pick him up. Boss, don't worry, I'm going to follow him. Brother Jun immediately ran out, and at the same time, asked someone to go to the monitoring room of Sinan Mansion so that there would be no mistakes. Chang Baji had been waiting for Qin Sheng outside. Once Qin Sheng had something to tell him, he would immediately rush in. He was completely relieved until Qin Sheng came out. After seeing Qin Sheng, Chang Baji asked quickly, "Is it all right?" Qin Sheng chuckled and said, "It's all right." "That's good." Chang Baji nodded silently, and then asked, "Who is looking for you tonight and making you so worried?" "A rising star in the Bund. I am afraid that Zhou Wenwu's matter will be exposed, so I asked you to come and pick him up." Qin Sheng did not hide and said truthfully, "No one should have found out that night, otherwise we would not have lived until today." Chang Baji said meaningfully. Qin Sheng smiled and nodded. From Li Jun's tone tonight, he knew that Li Jun definitely did not find out and was just guessing. Qin Sheng was too lazy to pay attention to him and said casually, "Did Han Bing go back?" "No, she is waiting for you at the company. She said that she would invite us to dinner tonight." Chang Baji whispered. Qin Sheng nodded and said, "Let's go." Chapter 51. I have been recuperating these days. I wish everyone good luck in the year of the rooster. May your work be smooth, your relationship be satisfactory, and your family be happy. The most important thing is to be healthy and safe. I have been lying on the bed most of the time these days. I finally know how uncomfortable it is to have a waist pain. As long as I use force, I will cry because of the pain. The worst thing is that I can't fall asleep at night. I don't have much expectation for 2017. I just want to write and read quietly. That is, to recuperate. Don't be sick. Since ancient times, heroes come from the young. Li Jun now looked at Qin Sheng in a new light. Although he did not figure out Qin Sheng's background, he knew that Qin Sheng was not an ordinary person to be able to do such a thing at this age. What's more, Qin Sheng was meticulous and experienced. He did not reveal any clues, so people could only suspect him at most. However, there was always a loophole. Li Jun had his own way of dealing with things. Now he had verified his guess, but he was curious about why Qin Sheng, who was so extraordinary, would go to Shangshan Ruoshui to be an ordinary waiter. Could it be that he was a younger generation cultivated by Jiang Xianbang? But Jiang Xianbang would not take such a big risk for a young man. So there must be a relationship between them that outsiders did not know. Only by investigating this matter could he understand everything. After Qin Sheng and Chang Baji left, he called Han Bing. Han Bing said that her friend introduced her to an authentic Shangxi restaurant nearby. Then she sent Qin Sheng the address and asked him to take a taxi there. Qin Sheng, who was in a cold sweat, really wanted to drink 2 cups of Shifeng to calm down. It would be best if there was authentic Shifeng 375. He chatted with Chang Baji along the way. For him, the worst ending was nothing more than running away. He did not care, but he was afraid of delaying Chang Baji. After all, Chang Baji was just here to help. Han Bing and Hao Lei were already in the private room. The names of the private rooms were all prefecture-level cities in Shangxi. Han Bing's private room was called Baoji, the hometown of Emperor Yan. Han Bing was chatting with Hao Lei in the private room. Han Bing was wearing a deep V-neck thin sweater, slim white jeans, and a Hermes scarf. Coupled with her shoulder-length short hair, her temperament was undeniable. Even though Hao Lei had known Han Bing for some time, he always blushed when talking to her. He never dared to look her in the eye. Hao Lei was really glad that the Han Bing that Hao Lei knew was the changed Han Bing. If it was the Han Bing that he just met, she could easily make Hao Lei run around in circles with a few flirtatious glances and tricks. "Are you guys done?" After Qin Sheng and Chang Baji came in, Han Bing stood up and smiled. The way she looked at Qin Sheng was like the warm sun in the cold winter. Anyway, in the eyes of Chang Baji and Hao Lei, Qin Sheng and Han Bing were completely a couple. Hao Lei and Qin Sheng had known each other for so many years, and he knew that Qin Sheng only had one girlfriend. That was Su Qin, the popular girl in their high school. To be honest, Su Qin was definitely the absolute goddess in every man's heart. Apart from her prominent family background, her appearance, IQ, and EQ were all outstanding. Unfortunately, they did not get together in the end. But Han Bing, who was in front of him, was no worse than Su Qin. For Qin Sheng, she might be a good choice. Qin Sheng smiled and nodded. Han Bing did not ask more. She was getting more and more familiar with Qin Sheng and knew how to get along with him. Qin Sheng absolutely did not like anyone to interfere with his freedom. Besides, he had too many secrets or stories, so she had to respect everything about him. I haven't eaten Shangxi Fu before, so I didn't order. Hao Lei said to wait for you guys to arrive. Han Bing poured a cup of Jingyang Fu tea for Qin Sheng and smiled. She was getting more and more used to her current identity. After calling the waiter, Qin Sheng, Hao Lei, and Chang Baji discussed and ordered a few Shangxi dishes. There were all kinds of common dishes, but they did not know how they tasted. Chang Baji already knew that Qin Sheng wanted a drink, so he asked, "Do you have Shifeng 375, the kind that costs about 20 yuan?" The waiter replied that there were all the main series of Shifeng here, but this kind of cheap wine might be more expensive. Naturally, they did not care about this, so they ordered a bottle. They just asked frequently and did not think about making anyone drunk. Han Bing said that she would drive back, so the three of them could drink some. Not long after, the wine and dishes were served. After they tasted it, they felt that the taste was quite authentic. It must be a chef from Xi'an. After 3 rounds of wine, Han Bing waited for them to have a good time. Then she asked Qin Sheng, "Have you applied for leave?" "Yes, I have. Anyway, I just arrived and have nothing to do," Qin Sheng replied while eating his gourd skin. Han Bing said in a low voice, "Sorry to trouble you again. If you say this again, I won't go next time." Qin Sheng was a little angry. "Moreover, this time I'm not doing it for you, but for Old Wu and Dark North. I admire them." "I know, thank you," Han Bing said with her head lowered. She would never doubt Qin Sheng's character. Because of this, she realized that she had already fallen in love with Qin Sheng. This time, even if it was a moth flying into the fire, she would not hesitate. After dinner, Han Bing drove them back to Thompson Gulf. When they came back from Tianshui, Han Bing would move back to Huaran 9 Mile Bund. Thompson Gulf would probably be put up for sale. In the morning, they set off for Tianshui again. This was probably the last time they would take Han Guoping's private plane. This plane was the property of Guoping Group, and it might be sold in 2 days. When they arrived at Tianshui, it was noon. Qin Sheng did not bother Zhao Quan again. The relatives of the Han family brought them back to the hotel. After lunch and a short rest, they went to the Public Security Bureau. With Zhao Quan's prior instructions and the attention of the leaders of the city, the Public Security Bureau was naturally very cooperative. They had already confirmed the identity of the bodies. They were the missing people that night. However, the decomposition was more serious, so they chose to cremate them directly. Everything was carried out according to the procedure. Qin Sheng also identified the photos of the bodies. They were indeed Old Wu and Chen Baiming. The urns of the 2 juniors of the Han family had been taken away. The funeral had started yesterday, and they would be buried the next morning. Old Wu and Chen Baiming's urns were still in the funeral parlor. Qin Sheng and Han Bing personally took the urns back and placed them in the hotel. Then, Qin Sheng accompanied Han Bing to attend the funeral of Han Bing's cousin. Han Bing deserved to be compensated. She did not feel bad about the money at all. After all, they died because of her. From that afternoon until the next morning, Han Bing was very upset. So many people had died for her. How could she not be sad? But at least Qin Sheng was by her side. Sometimes, when she was sleepy, she would directly lean on Qin Sheng's shoulder to sleep. When the funeral of Han Bing's cousin and her cousin was over, they returned to Shanghai in the afternoon. Han Bing had already asked someone to choose a grave. As Chen Baiming and Old Wu had no relatives, they were directly buried the next day without going through the complicated procedures. After settling down Old Wu and Chen Baiming, Qin Sheng let out a long sigh. This matter was finally over. However, the process was a little complicated, and they had also paid a heavy price. He hoped that such a thing would not happen again. After finishing all these, Han Bing could finally put down the stone in her heart. She had experienced too much in the past month and seemed to have grown up in an instant. Unfortunately, it was not because she wanted to grow up, but because she had to. It was both good and bad. In the afternoon, Han Bing and the rest rested. After finishing his work, Qin Sheng directly went back to Shangshan Ruoshui. He had already informed Su Lansheng that he would only be back in the afternoon. Su Lancheng could not do anything about it. After all, Qin Sheng was Jiang Xinbang's man. Su Lancheng did not care at all, but Mizzen had a problem with Qin Sheng. When she saw Qin Sheng, she directly called her office and scolded him. Qin Sheng had no choice but to reply, "Mizzen, I know I was wrong. Please don't be angry. It's not good for your health." Qin Sheng, you are the one who was arranged by Mr. Su. There has never been anyone in Shangshan Ruoshui who had connections. You're the first. You have just arrived, and you have already taken such a long leave. How can others have a chance to take a leave? Don't let others have a problem with you, and don't embarrass Mr. Su, Mizzen said resentfully. Apart from her admiration for Qin Sheng, the second reason why Mizzen valued Qin Sheng so much was because of his relationship with Su Lancheng. Qin Sheng smiled and said, "Mizzen, I know you're doing this for my own good. Don't worry, I won't do this in the future. I hope you will keep your words. Go and do your work." Mizzen waved her hand and said helplessly, if Qin Sheng still did this, she would definitely tell Su Lancheng that Qin Sheng was not suitable here. No matter how powerful Su Lancheng was, he could not ruin the reputation of Shangshan Ruoshui. At that time, if the big boss got angry, he would have to pack up and leave. When Qin Sheng came out, Liu Yuan was waiting for him outside. He whispered, "Were you scolded?" Qin Sheng smiled helplessly. "You'll get used to it." Although Mizzen usually smiles to everyone and has a bad temper, if you make a mistake, she will scold you to death, but she is kind at heart. As long as you do your work well, she will not make things difficult for you. However, the other two deputy managers are not as kind as Mizzen. They have a problem with you, a new intern. I don't know who told them that you were arranged by Mr. Su. Someone is going to use you to establish their power. Where there are people, there will be intrigue. You should take care of yourself, Liu Yuan kindly reminded him. Qin Sheng frowned. He did not expect that he had just arrived and already made others feel uncomfortable. Anyway, he had Jiang Xianbang behind him. If anyone wanted to fight with him, they could try. For the whole afternoon, Qin Sheng was busy following Liu Yuan until the woman in Chong Sam came again. After entering the box, she directly asked Qin Sheng to come and serve her, which made many people puzzled. After Qin Sheng went in, he understood what was going on. It turned out that the playboy was also here. Chapter 52. So troublesome. It's the beginning of the new year. Everyone else has started working, but I've been running around in the hospital. I can't sleep because of the pain every night. I've never felt so bad. I'm feeling better today and started writing. But I can't sit for too long, so I'll write as much as I can. I hope you can understand. When the elegant, noble, and charming woman in Chong Sam arrived, Qin Sheng and Liu Yuan were cleaning up a box. Because a member would come later, Liu Yuan had told Qin Sheng that this member had misophobia and obsessive-compulsive disorder, so the box must be tidied up to his liking. Otherwise, if he was not satisfied, Mizzen would definitely get angry. Shangshan Ruoshui had a total of 24 private rooms, big and small. The name of each private room was chosen by a master. There were no elegant words in the private rooms, nor were they named after mountains, rivers, places, or numbers. They were all unique words. Up until now, Qin Sheng had not found the pattern and did not know how the names were chosen. Qin Sheng knocked on the door and entered after hearing Ms. Chong Sam's soothing voice. Ms. Chong Sam was not wearing a Chong Sam today, but a more formal suit. She must have come directly after finishing her work. Her hair was still in a bun, and she wore a good quality jade bracelet on her wrist. "Miss Xue, are you looking for me?" Qin Sheng nodded politely. Xue Hao, who was more stubborn than anyone, was sitting next to Qin Sheng and was winking at him. Qin Sheng ignored him. Xue Qingyan, one of the 6 VVIP members, still did not have a good impression of Qin Sheng. She just said casually, "I heard from Hao that you study antiques and history." Qin Sheng knew a little about these things, but he certainly did not study them. This guy was F*King tricking him again. Qin Sheng cursed in his heart, but still said respectfully, "Just a little. What did you study?" Xue Qingyan asked with interest. Her eyes were very cold, and she was somewhat arrogant. Most goddesses seem to be like this in front of others. Qin Sheng answered truthfully, Fudan University Philosophy Department. Fudan University Philosophy Department? Xue Qingyan was a little surprised. She did not expect Qin Sheng to be a top student. Moreover, those who could choose to study philosophy at Fudan University were all tough people. Nowadays, there are not many young people who are willing to study philosophy. Xue Hao, who was beside her, was also stunned for a moment. He had thought that Qin Sheng only knew how to fight and probably did not even go to university. He did not expect him to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. This piqued Xue Qingyan's interest. The artists in Shangshan Ruoxue were carefully selected, but none of them were from a first-tier university like Fudan. Even though the salary was not low for these arrogant young people, it was somewhat shameful to be a waitress. So she asked curiously, "It should be easy for you to find a job after you graduated from Fudan. Why did you come here?" "The salary is high. I'm just trying to make a living," Qin Sheng said casually. He really wanted to say, "Why do you care so much about me?" Xue Qingyan squinted and said, "Really? I wouldn't dare to lie to you," Qin Sheng said with a smile. Xue Qingyan thought about it, but she did not care too much. She still had something to do, so she said to Qin Sheng, "Hao said that he is more interested in the antiques in Shangshan Ruoxue. Show him around and tell him about them. After you are done, send him back directly. I will inform old Su." "Understood," Qin Sheng said in a low voice. Xue Hao followed Qin Sheng and left with a cheeky smile. Xue Qingyan always felt that these two guys were a little strange, but she could not figure out what it was. Maybe she was thinking too much. Maybe Xue Hao was really interested in these things. After they went out, Qin Sheng deliberately made fun of him. "Master Xue, this way, please." "Qin Sheng, don't play games with me. Tell me the truth. Can you do it or not? If not, I will find someone else," Xue Hao said straightforwardly since his aunt was not around. Qin Sheng said with a smile, "Why? You don't believe me? I always feel that you are not reliable. If you are so great, why are you here as a waitress?" This was what Xue Hao was most puzzled about. But the calmness that Qin Sheng showed that day made him feel very contradictory. Qin Sheng led Xue Hao to the corridor. When people passed by, he introduced the antiques in the collection. Mizzen had already sent him a detailed list and introduction of the collection in Shangshan Ruoxue, and Liu Yuan had also told him a lot. Coupled with the fact that Qin Sheng already knew these things, he almost understood it. After committing murder and arson, you have to find a way to escape. What do you know? Qin Sheng rolled his eyes and said disdainfully. Xue Hao, who had short hair and simple clothes, did not look like a playboy at all. But since he had an aunt like Xue Qingyan, his family was naturally not simple. It could only be said that this guy was too low-key in school. "Then tell me, what should I do about it?" Xue Hao did not care about being bullied. What he cared about was that the girl he liked looked down on him and thought that he was a good-for-nothing. But his father did not allow him to cause trouble in school. Secondly, he felt that would be too embarrassing if he told this to his family. He could only say that he was suffering because of his pride. "Did I say that I will help you? Even if I help you, how are you going to repay me?" Qin Sheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. Hearing this, Xue Hao was so anxious that he almost did something desperate. He shouted, "Damn, I've already given my aunt to you. Are you still not satisfied? Big brother, what's the difference between this reward and farting? If anyone could get a woman like your aunt, you wouldn't say this. This is complete bullshit," Qin Sheng said disapprovingly. Xue Hao was flustered and exasperated. "Then tell me, what should I do? If you don't think of a way for me, I'll ask my aunt to fire you." Threatening me again?" Qin Sheng sneered. Xue Hao quickly said, "Brother, we can talk this out. I'm sorry. I'm puzzled. You're from a big family. You can find anyone to do this kind of thing. Why me?" Qin Sheng muttered to himself. "I can do it, but I haven't thought about the reward yet. But if I do it for you, you can't tell anyone." "Okay, no problem." Xue Hao quickly agreed. But he quickly said, "But you have to show me your skills first. Otherwise, all my efforts will be in vain. Believe it or not, go away." Qin Sheng immediately turned hostile. Xue Hao said helplessly, Okay. You win. Give me the photos and addresses of the 3 students. You don't have to worry about the rest. They will be obedient when they see you in a few days." Qin Sheng was good at doing this kind of thing. He did not need to do it himself. Chang Baji and Hao Lei could handle it. Shui Hao seemed to believe Qin Sheng. He quickly agreed and sent the photos and addresses to Qin Sheng on WeChat. Qin Sheng brought Shui Hao around for an hour. Finally, Shui Hao asked Qin Sheng to send him home. He could also treat Qin Sheng to a meal and make Qin Sheng skip work. Qin Sheng had no choice but to agree. After saying goodbye to Ms. and Qin Sheng and Shui Hao came out and were about to leave in Shui Qingyin's Land Rover. When Qin Sheng got the car, he saw something unexpected. The security manager of Shangshan Ruoshui, Chen Xiangyang, and Su Lanqing were arguing not far away. Chen Xiangyang begged, "Manager Su, lend me 1 million, just 1 million. I promise this will be the last time, definitely the last time." "Old Chen, you still don't know how to repent? Do you know what will happen if Big Boss knows that you are involved in gambling and drugs?" Su Lancheng scolded angrily. Old Chen quickly said, "Manager Su, I beg you, please don't tell Big Boss, or he will definitely ask me to leave." "Do you think Big Boss won't know if I don't tell him?" "Old Chen, everyone can see what state you've been in recently. If you don't want the Big Boss to get angry, I advise you to go find him yourself. As long as he can forgive you, everything can be discussed," said Su Lancheng, exasperated at Chun Feng's failure to live up to his expectations. "Manager Su, if Big Boss knows, he will kill me." Chun Xiangyang was so scared that he could not speak coherently. Shui Hao frowned and stared at them. He could not help but cough. Qin Sheng knew that he was in trouble. He pulled Shui Hao and walked 2 steps forward. He smiled and said, "Manager Su, Brother Chun, why are you here?" "Qin Sheng, what are you doing here?" Su Lanqing stared at Qin Sheng angrily. Chen Xiangyang was also a little flustered. He stared at Qin Sheng fiercely, as if he was going to eat Qin Sheng alive. "Manager Su, Miss Shui asked me to send young Master Shui home," Qin Sheng said calmly. Su Lanchang said thoughtfully, "Oh, then go quickly. Don't delay things." When Qin Sheng heard this, he hurriedly pulled Shui Hao into the car and left. He thought to himself, "No wonder I felt something was wrong when I saw Qin Xiangyang. So that's what happened. I just don't know if they think I already know about it." Chapter 53. Damn you. I'm a singer Zhao Lei sang Chengdu, and his WeChat moments and Weibo were flooded with comments. After so many years, he's finally popular. This also reminded me of the past when I was in Chengdu. Everyone knows that Old Guan's Unruly People was written about Chengdu, so I'm going to write an article about Zhao Lei and post it on the official WeChat account. I hope everyone likes it. Qin Sheng could not be bothered to think too much about it and left with Shui Hao. He had no intention of snitching to Jiang Xianbang. However, Su Lanqing knew that Qin Sheng was close to Jiang Xianbang and would probably be worried about him. Chen Xiangyang definitely did not know about it and might give him a warning later. It would be fine if Chen Xiangyang was polite, but if he played dirty, Qin Sheng would not care. Drugs and gambling are useless no matter how much money you have. I've heard many relatives and friends say that many powerful people have been ruined by themselves in the end. Shui Hao and Qin Sheng had naturally heard it. Shui Hao muttered softly after they left the house. Since it had nothing to do with him, no one would dare to do anything to him. Qin Sheng drove while thinking, "It's good that you know. If I find out about it, I'll help your parents solve this problem first, so that you don't harm your relatives and friends." "You don't have to worry about that. I'll die to repay the world myself," Shui Hao said. But at least he knew that Qin Sheng's values were correct. If a person's values were not right, it would be easy for him to go astray no matter how powerful he was. Qin Sheng had seen this kind of situation many times over the years. When he was in Guiyang, he met a friend who was considered powerful in Guiyang. At that time, the tallest building in Guiyang, Kempinski Tower, belonged to him. It was a pity that he became addicted to gambling and became more and more arrogant. He stayed in the VVVIP rooms of the major casinos in Macau for a long time and eventually went bankrupt. He did not know what happened to him now. You can't get involved with any poison. It's very likely that you will die. The latter is gambling. It's good to gamble a little, but you have to control yourself. People with poor self-control will gamble more and more. If you gamble too much, you will naturally look down on the small ones and end up miserable, Qin Sheng said casually. Shui Hao laughed. Let's not talk about this. It has nothing to do with us. I'll treat you to dinner today and send you the things when we get back. How long will it take? You talk too much. You'll know when you're done, Qin Sheng said, glaring at him. Shui Hao asked Qin Sheng what he wanted to eat, and Qin Sheng said he wanted to eat hot pot. Hence, they found a hot pot restaurant in Chengdu. There were too many stories about Qin Sheng in Chengdu. He met his confidant in Chengdu and stayed there for a few months. His idol was the master robe of Sichuan and Chongqing. He started from scratch and went through many trials and tribulations to become the master Zhao of Sichuan and Chongqing. Unfortunately, he completely retired and lived the most ordinary life. However, the two big groups he established became the aircraft carriers of the business world. After finishing the hot pot, Qin Sheng did not let Shui Hao treat him to dinner. Shui Hao's family must be well off, but his family was very strict, and he definitely did not have much money. Even if he had something he wanted to do, there were many things he wanted to do. Qin Sheng would not go so far as to bribe a high school student. However, Shui Hao insisted on paying for it. In the end, Qin Sheng said that he would treat him to a big meal after everything was over. Shui Hao finally gave up. I'm full. Let me send you home. Qin Sheng wanted to get rid of this burden as soon as possible so that he could go home and have a good rest. After all, there was a beautiful lady at home. However, Shui Hao did not plan to go home. He smiled and said, I'm not going home first. Send me to Taipei KTV on Ninghai East Road. It's my classmate's birthday tonight, and they're going to sing there. I'll go home myself later. Your aunt asked me to send you home, Qin Sheng said in a low voice. Shui Hao did not know whether to laugh or cry. Big brother, I'm just going to sing, not to hang out in a bar or a nightclub. Don't worry, I'll go home after I finish singing. It's just a group of students. They won't cause trouble, and the three fiends are not there. Pen, are you sure? Qin Sheng asked. Shui Hao nodded and said, yes. Qin Sheng had no choice but to send Shui Hao to the KTV first. He guessed that it must be a girl's birthday. Otherwise, Shui Hao would not be so enthusiastic. Everyone had their youth. Qin Sheng had experienced it too. Moreover, he was not Shui Hao's parent. Why should he care? Not long after, Qin Sheng sent Shui Hao to Ninghai East Road. It was already past 9 o'clock at night. Qin Sheng watched Shui Hao go up and left. However, he did not wait for 5 minutes before Shui Hao called him. Qin Sheng, come over quickly. We're being beaten up. Which floor? Qin Sheng thought that Shui Hao was teasing him, but it did not sound like it. He did not dare to ask further and said straightforwardly. Shui Hao said, how dare you call me? Then he heard Shui Hao's vague voice saying that he was on the 3rd floor. Then the phone was hung up. Qin Sheng panicked. If something were to happen to Shui Hao, Ms. Chong Sam would kill him. If that happened, he would not be able to stay in Shangshan Roashui anymore. Although it was because of Jiang Xianbang, it was still too embarrassing. Therefore, Qin Sheng did not hesitate to turn around and kill Ms. Chong Sam. When Shui Hao found his private room in the Taipei Pure K corridor, he found 4 of his classmates surrounded by 7 or 8 men. All of them had drunk quite a lot and were talking dirty. Shui Hao knew that 2 of his classmates were from rich families and were usually quite arrogant. However, they were on good terms with him, so he was not afraid of them. Furthermore, his goddess was having her birthday party tonight, so they were not willing to admit defeat. Shui Hao did not drink, so he went up to persuade them, who knew that he would be pushed away. Shui Hao did not pay attention to his feet and fell to the ground. Seeing that these people dared to hit him, the 4 classmates went up to fight without hesitation. It did not matter if they could win or not, but they were not afraid. When Shui Hao came back to his senses, the corridor was already in chaos. Shui Hao's heart skipped a beat. What was going on? He did not want to get into trouble, but now he was in trouble. There were only 5 of them, and the other party was tall and strong. Shui Hao did not have the time to call Qin Sheng, but he was discovered. After hanging up, Shui Hao realized that the 3 girls in a room had heard the commotion outside and came out. One of them was his goddess. She was so scared that she covered her mouth and turned pale. Shui Hao did not care anymore. If he was going to be scolded later, so be it. He shouted at the 3 girls to go in and rush forward. For a moment, The whole corridor was in chaos. However, the 5 students were no match for this group of people. Not long after, they were all beaten to the ground, surrounded by 7 or 8 men. Xuehao tried to protect his face from injury. He was still holding on to a glimmer of hope. Unfortunately, he was still punched. "Aren't you guys very powerful? Get up and fight," the leader shouted. The 5 students did not dare to talk back. Xuehao was cursing in his heart, but he did not dare to be arrogant. He was not an idiot and had some EQ. He knew that this was not the time to stand out. He prayed that Qinsheng would contact his aunt quickly. If his aunt could help them, these things would not be a problem and they would not have to suffer anymore. "Brother, it's our fault. We apologize to you. We're all friends, and we just drank a little. Please don't take it to heart." Xuehao stood up and said calmly after the man had finished scolding him. He did not seem angry at all. His father had always taught him to stay calm whenever he encountered a problem, not to be afraid of it, and not to run away from it. Instead, he had to find a way to solve it. "We didn't do anything wrong. Mother of **, beat me to death if you dare. As long as you don't kill me, I will definitely take revenge." Xuehao dared to finish his sentence. Who knew that the rich young master from a rich family would curse again? Xuehao felt like killing someone. Sure enough, as soon as he finished speaking, he received a kick. It hurt so much that he grimaced in pain. "Looks like you all have some background. Fine, I'll give you a chance. Call for help now, and we will stand here. Whoever is afraid is a coward." The leader laughed unscrupulously. In the private room, Xuehao's goddess and 2 other female classmates were so scared that they did not dare to come out. They had already called the police, but no one dared to tell their families. The security guards of the KTV had also called the police. They wanted to come over, but were scolded by the men. If they did not want to cause trouble, they would be beaten up too. Hearing the man's words, Xuehao knew that he was not an ordinary person, but he endured it and hoped that it would be a small matter. He smiled and said, "Brother, you don't have to do this. We will apologize and compensate you, as long as you are satisfied." "Fine. Come on, then kowtow to me 3 times. The man pointed at Xuehao and said. Xuehao was too talkative, but he had to solve the problem. Xuehao was not a reckless person. This made Xuehao a little angry, but he tried to keep his temper and said, "Brother, don't joke around. Why don't you kowtow to me?" The man scolded and raised his hand to slap Xuehao. No one knew when Qinsheng had arrived at the scene, but he was not in a hurry to make a move. Seeing Xuehao's fearless face, he had a whole new level of respect for him. Xuehao was no longer the coward who was beaten up by the 3 high school gangsters. Qinsheng grabbed the man's arm and said, "Brother, it's enough. There's no need to fight with a few students." The man did not expect that someone would dare to stand up at this time. Both ends of the corridor were full of onlookers, staff, and security guards. No one dared to approach, and those who tried were scared away. The man was not even 30 years old. He slowly turned around and looked at Qinsheng. He wanted to know who dared to stop him. After seeing who it was, he sneered and said, "Who do you think you are? Let go of me." "Qinsheng, you're finally here. Have you called my aunt?" Xuehao shouted in relief when he saw Qinsheng. Qinsheng was stunned for a moment and shook his head. "F***, I forgot." Xuehao was dumbfounded. He wanted to cry, but had no tears. He shouted in his heart, "F***u." At this time, Qinsheng came back to his senses and let go of the man's arm. Who knew that after Qinsheng let go of him, the man threw a punch at Qinsheng without saying a word. Unfortunately, Qinsheng was prepared. He bent down and dodged the punch. He hit the man's chest with his knee, grabbed the man's shoulder, and threw him away. He said disapprovingly, "Can't we talk it out? Why did you hit me?" The other 6 or 7 men saw that Qinsheng dared to hit him and rushed at him without hesitation. Qinsheng was not afraid at all. It was just a fight. Who was afraid of who? Chapter 54. Interested, Qinsheng did not care about the immensity of heaven and earth. Since Ms. Chong Sam was there to clean up after him, it would not be a big deal no matter how bad it was. However, he had to get revenge for Xuehao. Needless to say, Qinsheng's martial arts skills could force Chongbaji, who was a guru, to take him seriously. Wouldn't it be a piece of cake for him to deal with 7 or 8 men who were wasted by alcohol and women? Qin Sheng stood at the same spot, fearless in the face of danger. He dealt with the 7 or 8 men in front of him with ease. They were already drunk and had trouble moving their legs, so it was even easier for Qin Sheng to deal with them. In just a few minutes, all 7 or 8 men were beaten to the ground by Qin Sheng. The scene was like a movie, making the onlookers exclaim in excitement. Shuihao had wanted to ask a few of his classmates to help him. Even if they did not help him, he would not hesitate to rush forward. He was usually low-key and cowardly, but when it came to real trouble, he would not abandon his teammates. However, he realized that he did not even need to do anything. Qin Sheng alone was no match for him. Shuihao's eyes widened when he saw Qin Sheng's dazzling movements. It was only now that he understood that Qin Sheng was not bragging. He was really a master. After the fight, Qin Sheng heaved a sigh of relief and said in a low-key tone, "I told you to talk nicely. Why did you have to be so violent? Now you regret it, right?" After such a long time, the patrolling police finally arrived in time. Anyway, no matter what, everyone was taken away. The 3 girls did not get involved in this matter. Before Shuihao left, he threw his phone to the goddess and said, "Call my aunt and tell her I was beaten up." The goddess nodded weakly and quickly searched for Shuihao's aunt's number. In a private room in Shangshan, Ruoshui, Xue Qingyan, who was elegant in front of her friends, was drinking red wine and chatting with a few friends. They were working on something and now only needed venture capital. Xue Qingyan thought that Shuihao was going to say that he had reached home, so she hung up. She usually did not pick up the phone when discussing business, unless it was a prior appointment. The campus belle who was hung up was anxious and called Shuihao again. Xue Qingyan's phone buzzed, and she frowned when she saw that it was Shuihao. Xue Qingyan knew Xue Qingyan's habits well. She knew that Shuihao would not call her again after hanging up, and she would return the call later. If he called her again, it meant that something was up. "Qingyan, what's the matter?" asked an old man in his 60s with a smile. Xue Qingyan said embarrassedly, "Mr. Zheng, you guys talk first. I'll go out to take a call." "How, are you home?" Xue Qingyan answered the phone lovingly with a smile on her face. The campus belle said anxiously, "Hello, Auntie. I'm Shuihao's classmate, Zhu Dan." Shuihao was beaten up and taken away by the police. "He asked me to call you." Xue Qingyan was a little confused when she heard the voice of a strange girl on the other end of the phone. After listening to the girl's words, Xue Qingyan's face darkened and she asked directly, "Where are you now?" "I'm at Taipei Pure K on Ninghai East Road," Zhu Dan said with red eyes. What had she ever encountered such a thing? She had always been a good girl. "I'm on my way." Xue Qingyan hung up the phone after saying this. After that, she went back to the private room and told her friends and elders that she had to leave because of an emergency. They were all close friends, so they did not say anything. After that, she looked for Su Lanqing angrily and asked him to contact Qin Sheng immediately. She wanted Qin Sheng to send Shuihao home. How could Shuihao be in such a situation? If anything happened to him, she would definitely find Qin Sheng to settle the score. After listening to Xue Qingyan, Su Lanqing became anxious and quickly said, "Qingyan, don't worry. I'll find a way to contact him now." However, no matter if it was Su Lanqing or Mizan, Qin Sheng's phone could not be connected. Su Lanqing could only ask them to continue calling Qin Sheng. He immediately called Shuihao and the others to ask where they had been taken. Not long after, he got the answer: Jinling East Road Police Station. After that, he accompanied Xue Qingyan to the police station. On the way, Xue Qingyan and Su Lanqing called their friends, who immediately notified them. Therefore, not long after Qin Sheng, Shuihao and the rest were brought to the police station. Everything was fine. The deputy police chief on duty respectfully brought them to the resting room. As for the rest of the gang, they were all handcuffed and interrogated. "May I know who is Mr. Xue?" The deputy superintendent was very young. He asked with a smile as he poured tea for them. He even asked the police on duty to clean their wounds. Shuihao said calmly, "I am. Miss Xue and Mr. Su will be here soon. Sorry to trouble you." It was somewhat comical for a deputy superintendent to address a kid as Mr. Shueihao was not used to this kind of situation, but he had seen too many high-ranking officials and nobles. A deputy superintendent was not a big deal to him. He waved his hand and said, "Go ahead. I'll call you if there's anything." This made the deputy superintendent feel cold. However, he would not stoop to a kid's level. He smiled awkwardly and was about to leave when Qin Sheng said, "Superintendent Liu, sorry to trouble you tonight." "It's nothing. It's what I should do. I'll go ahead." Superintendent Liu smiled and left. Qin Sheng secretly remembered how the police called him just now. After Superintendent Liu left, Qin Sheng took out his phone and found that there were many missed calls. He knew that Shanshan Ruoshui knew about this and immediately called Su Lanqing back. Su Lanqing heaved a sigh of relief when he received Qin Sheng's call. Due to the taboo between Qin Sheng and Jiang Xianbing, he suppressed his anger and said, "Qin Sheng, you finally picked up the phone. What's going on?" Before Qin Sheng could answer, Xue Qingyan had already grabbed the phone and asked fiercely, "Where's Shueihao?" "Qin Sheng, I'm warning you. If anything happens to Shueihao, I won't forgive you." Qin Sheng could not be bothered to talk nonsense. He directly handed the phone to Shueihao and said, "Your aunt." "And I'm fine. This has nothing to do with Qin Sheng." Shueihao took the phone and quickly explained. He knew that his aunt would definitely blame Qin Sheng. A few minutes later, Shueihao finished the call and came in. He smiled at Qin Sheng and said, "I've explained to aunt. Everything is fine now." Qin Sheng did not care about these trivial matters at all and did not say anything. After a while, 2 police officers came in and did a simple record of the incident. The incident was actually very simple. They had drunk too much and accidentally bumped into each other. After a few words, they got into trouble. Half an hour later, Xue Qingyan and Su Lanqing rushed over after Qin Sheng smoked 2 cigarettes and drank a cup of tea. A few leaders of the police station received them cautiously and then led them over. When Shueihao saw his aunt, he quickly ran over and said, "Aunt, I'm sorry for making you worry." Xue Qingyan was very distressed when Shueihao was beaten up. She held his arm and said, "Little Hao, are you hurt?" "Aunt, I'm fine." Shueihao chuckled. "How are your classmates?" Xue Qingyan was the second to show concern. Shueihao pointed at them and said, "Just some minor injuries, nothing serious." Xue Qingyan looked at Shueihao's classmates and realized that they were all in a worse state than Shueihao. Each of them had a bloody nose and swollen face. She turned to the leaders of the police station behind her and said, "Chief Chun, I don't need to say more about what to do. If they are capable, let them come to me. I'd like to see who would dare to plead for them." "Miss Xue, don't worry. Chief Song has already instructed us. We know what to do." The police chief who rushed over smiled apologetically. Such a thing happened in his territory, and they were reprimanded by the leaders. He would definitely not let those bastards go. Moreover, the leaders of the municipal bureau were there to take care of it. As Shueihao's aunt, Xue Qingyan asked about the other students out of concern. Finally, she looked at Qin Sheng, who was standing at the side. Qin Sheng looked calm, as if nothing had happened. Xue Qingyan walked over slowly and said, "Qin Sheng, I'm sorry on the phone just now. It's okay." Qin Sheng said casually. Xue Qingyan continued, "Thank you for tonight. If not." Xue Qingyan wanted to say more, but Qin Sheng said directly, "Miss Xue, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first. I'll drive the car over for you." Qin Sheng's words made Xue Qingyan speechless. Su Lanqing, who was beside her, smiled bitterly and shook his head. He was not clear about Qin Sheng's background yet, but he could feel that this young man was proud and arrogant. Sometimes he seemed to be approachable, but he kept an appropriate distance from everyone. The atmosphere was a little awkward. Su Lanqing said, "All right, Qin Sheng, there's nothing else for you to do here. Help Mississippi Xue drive the car over, and you can go back." "Okay." Qin Sheng nodded and left without saying goodbye to Shueihao. Xue Qingyan looked at Qin Sheng's back and found it funny. Qin Sheng was different from others. If he was an ordinary person, he would definitely take advantage of this incident to get closer to her. But Qin Sheng seemed to be deliberately keeping a distance from her. Thinking about what happened that day, she was interested in Qin Sheng. Old Su, who recruited Qin Sheng, Xue Qingyan asked with interest. This sentence put Su Lansheng in a difficult position. But Mr. Jiang did not seem to tell him not to reveal the information. Qin Sheng did not want others to know about his relationship with Jiang Xianbang. He smiled bitterly and said, "This, what else can't be said?" Xue Qingyan saw Su Lansheng's expression and was puzzled. Su Lansheng hesitated. In the end, he kicked the ball back to Qin Sheng and said, "You'd better ask Qin Sheng himself. I promised him something." "Okay, then I won't make things difficult for you." When Xue Qingyan heard this, she basically understood that it was definitely not Su Lansheng who recruited them. It must be the other 5 VVIP members besides her, including Jiang Xianbang. After staying at the police station for about half an hour, the matter was settled. During this time, Qin Sheng drove Xue Qingyan's Land Rover back. He asked a policeman to give her the key and took a taxi. When he returned to Thompson Golf, Han Bing was still waiting for Qin Sheng. When she saw him, she asked, "Why are you back so late tonight?" "Something came up. Why are you not sleeping yet?" Qin Sheng replied with a smile. Han Bing was naturally waiting for Qin Sheng, but she was embarrassed to say it directly. She was like a little wife waiting for her husband to come home. She said casually, "I worked overtime for a while and am ready to sleep." "Then sleep early." Qin Sheng was a little tired and smiled. She then said, "I found a house for you. It's on Hunan South Road. I asked a friend to find it. The rent is not expensive. It's close to your workplace and the 9-mile bond. If you have time tomorrow, go and take a look. If it's not bad, you can move in. I'm also preparing to move back." "Okay, I will go out with you tomorrow morning and take a look." Qin Sheng did not have time to find a house. Since Han Bing had helped them solve it, he did not need to trouble himself. Han Bing did not wait for Qin Sheng to thank her and got up with a smile. "I'm going to bed first. You should sleep early too." Qin Sheng nodded, but he was thinking about something. The next morning, Qin Sheng and Han Bing went out together. They first sent Han Bing to work, and then they went to look at the house. The house was fully furnished and could be moved in directly. The 3 of them were quite satisfied and planned to move in after Han Bing moved back. Chapter 55. Ambiguous. Today, I calculated carefully. I actually did not update for half a month before and after the new year. This made me very disappointed. Too many things have happened. I hope everything goes well and nothing happens again. Right well. In the end, only a few people knew about what had happened last night. When he returned to Thompson Golf Resort, Xue Hao sent him a text message. It was just 2 words of thanks. Qin Sheng pursed his lips into a smile and did not reply. Qin Sheng did not like the rain very much, especially this kind of autumn rain. It was easy to make people feel sad and sleepy. He liked the kind of snowy days where the snow was boundless and majestic. In the past, when he was in Zhongnan Mountains when the weather was slightly cold, it would snow heavily in Zhongnan Mountains. That kind of feeling was destined to not be found in Shanghai. Moreover, the snow in the south really did not arouse people's interest. Shangshan Ruoshui in the rain gave people a feeling of returning to the period of the Republic of China. If Miss Chongsam walked on the Bluestone Path with an umbrella at this time, Qin Sheng felt that the scene would be really wonderful. Qin Xiangnan seemed to have been waiting for Qin Sheng. His face was still very ugly, his body was thin, and the dark circles under his eyes were getting more and more serious. When Qin Sheng walked in, he snorted coldly. "Qin Sheng, can I borrow a place to talk?" Qin Sheng did not refuse and directly followed him to the pavilion in the back garden. Chen Xiangyang handed Qin Sheng a cigarette. He was from Sunan and liked to smoke Sunan cigarettes. Qin Sheng politely lit up for the 2 of them and said in a small voice, "Brother Chun, what's the matter?" "Nothing much. As the manager of the security department, I just wanted to ask if you have any suggestions since you have been here for a while." Chen Xiangyang used this reason to start the conversation, and the atmosphere was still relatively relaxed. Qin Sheng naturally would not undermine him. He smiled and said, "To be honest, I really do not know about these things and really do not have any suggestions. But the security of Shangshan Ruoshui has let me see the world." "Are you used to Shangshan Ruoshui?" Chen Xiangyang smiled and nodded. From time to time, he looked around for fear that someone would see them. "Brother Chun, I am quite good here. No word can compare to Shangshan Ruoshui. The benefits are not comparable. That's good, that's good. Chun Xiangyang smiled bitterly, but he didn't know what to say. Qin Sheng did not reply. The atmosphere became a little awkward. In the end, Chen Xiangyang could not help but say, Qin Sheng, I'd better tell you the truth. It was Manager Su who asked me to come to you. Last night, Manager Su and I were talking about some confidential matters. Did you hear it? After that, Chen Xiangyang stared at Qin Sheng, trying to figure out if he was telling the truth or not. Qin Sheng was stunned for a moment. Then he suddenly realized and said, Oh, Brother Chun, are you talking about the time I saw you and Manager Su when I was sending Master Shui out last night? Yes, Chen Xiangyang snorted. Qin Sheng continued. At that time, young Master Shui and I were thinking about what to eat for dinner. Young Master Shui wanted to treat me to dinner. I really didn't hear what you said. If you don't believe me, you can ask young Master Shui. You really didn't hear anything? Chen Xiangyang was doubtful. Qin Sheng said firmly, I really didn't hear anything. Chen Xiangyang stared at Qin Sheng for a while, which made Qin Sheng's hair stand. After a while, he said thoughtfully, Qin Sheng, I don't know if you're telling the truth or not. It's best if you didn't hear it. If you did, I hope you can keep it to yourself. Otherwise, it may cause trouble. Oh, Brother Chun, how can I lie to you? I really didn't hear it. At that time, you and Manager Su were so far away from us, Qin Sheng quickly explained. All right, I got it. You can go. Chen Xiangyang was too lazy to talk nonsense with Qin Sheng and directly wave his hand. Qin Sheng was relieved and quickly left. In his heart, he muttered that Chen Xiangyang would leave Shangshan Ruoshui sooner or later. It was better for him to keep a distance from him. As for what Chen Xiangyang said, it was Su Lansheng who asked him to come. This was completely nonsense. Su Lansheng was eager to tell on him. Why would he ask Chen Xiangyang to come? Su Lansheng used his, but to think that Chen Xiangyang would come. Gambling and drugs really killed people. The treatment and conditions in Shangshan Ruoshui were so good. Not only could Chen Xiangyang make friends here, but he could also get a high salary. But he chose the wrong path. Qin Sheng went to the office area to change clothes and prepare for work. When he went out, he met Sisterin. She was wearing a sexy gray dress and gray stockings. Sisterin was still so sexy and charming. She was probably the object of many men in Shangshan, Ruoshui. Qin Sheng, you scared me last night. I thought something big happened. After Qin Sheng came out, Sisterin patted Qin Sheng's chest and said coquettishly. Qin Sheng had goosebumps all over his body. He said, Does Sisterin know? Manager Su told me. You didn't answer my call. Really, you can't be like this in the future. Qin Sheng smiled and said, Okay, Sisterin is on call in the future. That's more like it. But I heard that you were good at fighting. 1 against 8. I think you should go to the security department. You can directly be the deputy manager of the security department. Sisterin teased Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng laughed and said, Can you bear for me to leave? If you're good in bed, I will definitely be reluctant to leave you. Sisterin leaned forward, showing her chest, and said, Not afraid of being seen by others. Qin Sheng obediently admitted that he was afraid of this old woman. This old woman was too powerful. It was better to stay away from her. He quickly said, Sisterin, I'm going to work. After that, Qin Sheng left awkwardly, leaving behind Sisterin, who kept laughing. This was the difference between a young man and a young woman. In the following 2 days, Qin Sheng's life was as peaceful as water. He continued to learn from Liu Yuan. With his ability, he naturally made rapid progress. Mizzen praised him a lot in the reception department. Moreover, Qin Sheng knew geomancy, history of antiques, and so on, so he had a natural advantage in decorating. Especially during this period, there was a time when he hung a string of jade seeds on a water feature, which made the expert member praise it very much. He directly asked who designed it. When he found out that it was just an ordinary child, he was even more surprised and praised Qin Sheng a lot. This made Qin Sheng stand out in the reception department a lot and naturally attracted a lot of gossip. On Sunday, Qin Sheng was on leave. They first helped Han Bing move back to Huarun 9 Mile Wanan, then packed their luggage and moved into their new home. It was located in the Shilin Huayuan district on Fuxing East Road. It was a high-rise with 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. The location was excellent, and the view was wide. It was very convenient to go to Hwarun, 9 Mile Wanan, or Sinan Road. However, the rent was only 8,000 yuan. It was because it was Han Bing's friend's house that it was much cheaper than other houses of the same type. Even so, Qin Sheng still felt that the rent in Shanghai was really damn expensive. Han Bing happened to be free, so she helped Qin Sheng and the others to clean up. The 4 of them had a clear division of labor. In only 2 hours, the whole house looked brand new. Then they ran to the supermarket to buy a lot of daily necessities. When they finished, it was already evening. Han Bing originally wanted to go out for dinner to celebrate Qin Sheng and the others moving, but Qin Sheng said that he would cook today, which surprised Han Bing. She did not expect that Qin Sheng could really cook. Han Bing wanted to help, but Qin Sheng and the others insisted on not letting her into the kitchen. The 3 men crowded in the kitchen to cook dinner, while Han Bing had nothing to do, so she sat on the sofa and watched TV. In the kitchen, Hao Lei glanced at Han Bing, who was wearing sportswear and had a graceful figure in the living room. He said to Qin Sheng, "Old Qin, Miss Han obviously likes you. Why don't you just give in? In the future, the 2 of us will follow you and live well." In the past, Miss Han was unruly, willful, and unreasonable. When did she become a good wife and loving mother? This was all Qin Sheng's credit. Qin Sheng stared at him and said, "Get lost, I sell my skills, not my body. You F***er, you're still pretending to be obedient. You don't know how lucky you are. You won't be able to find a wife like Miss Han even if you have a lantern. Why don't you take a look at yourself? If she doesn't despise you, then you should be thanking the heavens." Hao Lei said resentfully. Chang Baji also agreed. Hao Lei is right. Han Bing is a good girl. The 2 of you are quite compatible. Brother Chang, I don't want to think about this now. Let's talk about it later. Qin Sheng shook his head and smiled. He turned back and looked at Han Bing. Since Qin Sheng said that he liked long hair, Han Bing stopped cutting her hair and started to keep it long. However, there was no change until now. Actually, Qin Sheng did not want Han Bing to change herself to please others. Han Bing felt that someone was looking at her. She subconsciously looked towards the kitchen and happened to meet Qin Sheng's eyes. Qin Sheng pursed his lips and smiled. Han Bing blushed in embarrassment and quickly turned her head to continue watching TV. An hour later, the 3 men finally made dinner. There were 6 dishes and 1 soup. Qin Sheng was in charge, while Chang Baji and Hao Lei helped. "Wow, did you guys really make this?" Han Bing stared at the delicious dishes on the table and said in surprise. Hao Lei said proudly, "Of course, you can come here more often in the future. Anyway, Qin Sheng has nothing to do after work. Do you welcome me?" Han Bing stared at Qin Sheng and asked. Chang Baji laughed and joked, "Only you are welcome here. No one else can come in." Chang Baji was implying, "Don't worry, we will help you keep an eye on Qin Sheng and won't let him bring other women back." After the 4 of them sat down, Qin Sheng was going to send Han Bing back later and only drank orange juice. Han Bing accompanied Chang Baji and Hao Lei to drink beer. She opened the can and raised her glass. "Welcome to your new home. I hope you guys will get better and better in the future. Cheers." "Thank you. I also hope you will get prettier." "Cheers." "Cheers." Everyone happily ate and chatted. Han Bing was getting more and more used to such an atmosphere. She treated Qin Sheng and the rest as friends, not as servants or subordinates at all. In the past, to be honest, she did not have many true friends. Since her father's accident, the number of friends around her became fewer and fewer. She also learned about the fickleness of the world and the fickleness of human nature. However, she had never been disappointed. She accepted everything calmly. Whose life would be smooth sailing? Whose life was just a scenery? After dinner, Chang Baji and Hao Lei said that they would wash the dishes and clean up the mess, and let Qin Sheng and Han Bing chat for a while. Qin Sheng was really impressed by these 2. They tried their best to matchmake him and Han Bing. After drinking, Han Bing's face was red and her eyes were a little blurred. She stared at Qin Sheng without any hesitation. The atmosphere was a little ambiguous. Qin Sheng really could not stand it. So he let Han Bing watch TV, first while he went back to the room to make the bed sheets. Han Bing did not stay. She followed closely behind and ran in. Not knowing if it was because she was drunk or subconsciously, Han Bing suddenly hugged Qin Sheng's waist from behind and pressed her face against Qin Sheng's back. Chapter 56. Poaching, right hard despite being sick. Everyone, please vote for me. Collect and support me. Hao Lei came out to wipe the table and accidentally saw this scene. He was very excited and smiled like a kid who had just received a big red flower. He tiptoed back to the kitchen and pointed at the master bedroom. That expression was really funny. Chang Baji, who was washing the dishes, did not understand and asked, "What's wrong with you? Was your head kicked by a donkey?" "No, they're hugging each other over there." Hale pointed to the room and said softly. Chang Baji was instantly surprised and said, "What, really?" "Shoo, lower your voice. Do you think I'm lying to you? Then do you think we should leave when drywood meets fire? If not, let's go out and get a room tonight." Chang Baji came back to his senses and said, but why did his words sound strange? "Let's stroll downstairs for a while and make some space for the couple." Hale agreed with Chang Baji's suggestion, and the two left without hesitation. They quietly closed the door and did not make any sound. In the room, the atmosphere was really ambiguous. Qin Sheng let Han Bing hug him like this. He could smell the faint perfume on Han Bing's mountain and feel Han Bing's soft breasts. Han Bing told Qin Sheng that morning that she felt that she liked Qin Sheng. At that time, Qin Sheng did not respond because he thought that Han Bing's love might be just out of gratitude, or because when she was lonely and helpless, he stood up and helped her to repay her kindness. Qin Sheng did not like this feeling. It made people feel like he was taking advantage of the situation. The love he wanted was a slow and steady flow, just like how he and Su Qin knew each other and fell in love. However, Qin Sheng did not break away from Han Bing's embrace. A girl made him muster up his courage to do this kind of thing. He could not accept it, but he had to cooperate. "What's wrong? Did something happen?" Qin Sheng felt that he would suffocate if he did not speak, so he tried to find a topic to talk about. Han Bing shook her head and said, "No, I just want to hug you, so that I can feel more secure." From today onwards, Han Bing would be completely separated from Qin Sheng. In the past month, they had experienced too many things. Han Bing felt as if they had known Qin Sheng for many years. Other than the time when Qin Sheng went to work, they were almost inseparable. Even if Qin Sheng went to work, he would come back every night and they could still talk. However, from today onwards, they might not be that close anymore. They could only see each other a few times a week. She couldn't possibly come over every day. Qin Sheng really did not know how to respond to Han Bing's words. He could only slowly turn around and face Han Bing. He chuckled and said, "Everything has passed. For you, a new life has just begun." Today, Han Bing was dressed in sportswear and sneakers. Coupled with her height of 1.7 meters, she was only a little shorter than Qin Sheng, so she could look directly at Qin Sheng. Their eyes met. Han Bing looked at Qin Sheng affectionately. However, Qin Sheng was suddenly at a loss. Han Bing hugged Qin Sheng tightly. Her eyes were as gentle as water as she slowly walked towards Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng was stunned. He seemed to have realized what was going to happen. When he wanted to dodge, Han Bing's seductive little mouth had already kissed him. This was Han Bing's greatest courage. Qin Sheng was completely stunned. He did not expect such a thing to happen. Han Bing was definitely the kind of woman who was clean and pure. So far, she had only had one boyfriend. Other than holding hands, she did not even kiss a few times. The two of them broke up not long after, so her kissing skills were naturally not very good. But even so, Han Bing still controlled the initiative. She took the initiative to stick out her tongue and waited for Qin Sheng's love. Qin Sheng was a normal man, with Su Xiang in his arms. Unless it was the current Liu Xiaohui, it was impossible for a normal man to not have any thoughts. Not to mention a beauty like Han Bing, who had both looks and temperament. Therefore, Qin Sheng could no longer control the hormones in his body. He hugged Han Bing and responded unscrupulously. For a moment, the room was full of spring, leaving only the sound of the two of them panting. Han Bing's whole body softened and fell into Qin Sheng's arms. Qin Sheng wantonly enjoyed Han Bing's peachy little mouth and fragrant tongue. He caressed Han Bing's back, feeling the curve and warmth there. After a long time, when the two of them were out of breath, Qin Sheng then separated Han Bing. He was afraid that he could not control himself and really did something to Han Bing. Unfortunately, there were still Chang Baji and Hao Lei here. Thinking of this, Qin Sheng instantly came back to his senses. Han Bing looked at Qin Sheng with a face full of spring and laughed out loud. Obviously, she was also aroused tonight. "What are you laughing at?" Qin Sheng asked puzzledly. Han Bing smiled and said, "I thought you were really a fool and did not get close to women. Do you believe that I will do it on the spot?" Qin Sheng said fiercely, but he did not believe what he said. Han Bing deliberately puffed out her chest and said disapprovingly, "This is exactly what I want. Vixen, stop seducing me." Qin Sheng raised his hands in surrender. Han Bing covered her mouth and could not stop laughing. Qin Sheng thought of the two people outside and said, "It's getting late. Let me send you back." Okay. Han Bing also knew that even if she wanted to do something, this was not the right place. Chang Baji and Hao Lei were still outside. She did not know if they saw the scene just now. If they did, how embarrassed she would be in the future. However, when the two of them came out, they found that Chang Baji and Hao Lei had already disappeared. This made the two of them quite confused. Qin Sheng immediately called Hao Lei and asked, "Where have you been?" "Oh, we made room for you." "No, we came out to buy some fruits." Hao Lei laughed and explained. Qin Sheng laughed and scolded, "Go to hell. Bing Bing is going back. You guys wait downstairs." When Qin Sheng and Han Bing went downstairs, Chang Baji and Hao Lei were already waiting at the door. Hao Lei really bought some fruits. He waved at Qin Sheng and said, "Big brother, I really went to buy some fruits. Go away." Qin Sheng still did not know why the two of them came out. They must have found something. Chang Baji was a veteran. He deliberately teased, "Bing Bing is going back. Qin Sheng, the night is long. You enjoy it slowly. We won't wait for you. Be careful." Chang Baji's words made Han Bing completely blush. Who asked him to be so direct? Hao Lei, who was next to him, had already laughed as if it was none of his business. Qin Sheng knew that he did not dare to stay any longer. Who knew what Chang Baji would say? He directly pulled Han Bing and left. On the way, Qin Sheng drove honestly. Han Bing looked at Qin Sheng without blinking. Her eyes were full of tenderness. It was said that whether you like someone or not, you could tell from the look in his eyes. If you really like someone, your eyes would definitely be shining. At this moment, Han Bing was like that. After getting off the car, Qin Sheng sent Han Bing all the way downstairs. Han Bing shamelessly held Qin Sheng's arm. The two of them really looked like a couple. Qin Sheng still let Han Bing do this. Maybe he was slowly accepting her. When they were downstairs, Qin Sheng stopped and said, "Go up and sleep early. Don't you want to go up and sit for a while?" Han Bing bit her lower lip, revealing a little fox's light. Qin Sheng coughed awkwardly. Even an experienced driver knew what this meant. If he really went up, then something big would happen. So he stared at Han Bing and said, "Stop it." Han Bing smiled and said, "Then I'll go up." "Go." Qin Sheng waved his hand. Before Han Bing left, she ambushed Qin Sheng again. She left an affectionate kiss on his cheek and then quickly ran away from the battlefield. After taking 2 steps, she was happy like a little girl who got full marks in a test. She began to hum a little song, and with her back facing Qin Sheng, she waved her hand and shouted, "Good night." That look was extremely cute. Qin Sheng did not know whether to laugh or cry, but he was very pleased. This was like the Han Bing when he first met her. She lived her own life and lived a wonderful life. A new week had begun. For most people, the pressure of survival in this city was too great, especially for outsiders. It was especially difficult for them to make a name for themselves here. But for Qin Sheng, all the pressure was a challenge. If things were too smooth, it would be really boring. He liked the feeling of going against the current. There were all kinds of meetings on Monday mornings in any company. Shanshan Ruoshui was no different. First was the company meeting, followed by the meetings of various departments. But what surprised everyone the most today was that the manager of the security department, Chun Xiangyang, did not appear. Many people were chattering about something. The management structure of Shangshan Ruoshui was very simple. Su Lancheng was fully in charge. There was no deputy general manager, followed by the various department managers and deputy managers. So it was very unusual that Chun Xiangyang did not appear. Sure enough, when Su Lancheng went on stage to speak, the first thing he did was to announce that the security manager, Chun Xiangyang, resigned due to family reasons. The security manager would be temporarily replaced by Yuan Hua. When the news came out, everyone was in an uproar. Qin Sheng smiled faintly. This was expected, but he did not know who told Jiang Xianbang. After the company meeting ended, the department meeting began. Although Qin Sheng was learning reception and security, he was more inclined to the reception department. Moreover, he had a better relationship with the reception department. Most importantly, the reception department was full of beauties, while the security department was a bunch of F***king gays. In the reception department, there was a manager and 2 deputy managers. The 2 deputy managers were all promoted from young masters and artists. Sister and had praised Qin Sheng a lot and asked everyone to learn from him. This naturally caused a group of old people to be dissatisfied. Just as Liu Yuan had said, when it was almost noon, Su Lancheng suddenly found Qin Sheng and said, "Mr. Jiang wants you to go over." Qin Sheng was a little surprised. It was noon, and he had not even eaten lunch. Why would Jiang Xianbang look for him? Could it be that he wanted to greet the basic employees? Qin Sheng took a taxi to Jiang Xianbang's garden house and was let in by the housekeeper. Jiang Xianbang was sitting in the dining room. The talented lady, Qing was also there. The table was very sumptuous, as if waiting for Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng did not pay attention to Jiang Xianbang. He just smiled and nodded to greet the beautiful Qing. The long-haired Qing did not have a good impression of Qin Sheng, so she just gave him a perfunctory smile. "Why do you act like I'm your enemy?" Jiang Xianbang said very discontentedly. Qin Sheng curled his lips and said, "You're looking for me. There's definitely nothing good." "What do you mean by nothing good?" "I'm just asking how you're doing in Shangshan Ruoshui." Jiang Xianbang laughed and said, "You must be hungry. Let's eat first. Let's talk while eating." Qin Sheng picked up the chopsticks and did not care anymore. He ate like a whirlwind. He was really hungry. When the bowl of rice was empty, Jiang Xianbang slowly asked, "Do you know about Shangshan Ruoshui?" "What?" Qin Sheng was puzzled. "About Chun Xiangyang. That bastard not only gambles, but also takes drugs. He was fired by me. Su Lancheng said that you know about it." Jiang Xianbang was born unorthodox and had a gangster's temperament. He said directly. Qin Sheng casually said, "Oh, this matter had nothing to do with him." But it was really Su Lancheng who said it. But it was also true that Chun Xiangyang's matter could not be kept. If he did not take the initiative to tell Jiang Xianbang, he would probably suffer if Jiang Xianbang found out first. Jiang Xianbang squinted his eyes and laughed. "Now Shangshan Ruoshui needs a manager of the security department. Do you have a suitable candidate to recommend?" "How can I have a suitable candidate?" Qin Sheng looked up and found it funny. He was not this type of talent. Jiang Xianbang drank a mouthful of soup and said slowly, "I think your friend Chang Baji is not bad." Chapter 57. A sneak attack, wishing everyone a happy Lantern Festival, good health, and everything goes well. Jiang Xianbang had heard about Chang Baji from Qin Sheng. A master who could be invited by Qin Sheng from Xi'an was definitely not simple, not to mention that he had done so many things with Qin Sheng. In fact, Jiang Xianbang had known about Chun Xiangnan some time ago, but he had not said anything. After all, Chun Xiangnan was a veteran of Shangshan Ruoshui. Jiang Xianbang wanted to give him a chance, but this dog did not repent and became worse. At the same time, he also wanted to see Su Lancheng's choice on this big issue. If he really chose to cover up for Chun Xiangnan, then Jiang Xianbang would be disappointed with him. Fortunately, Su Lancheng took the initiative to report to him. He also gave Su Lancheng a warning and took the opportunity to fire Chun Xiangnan. How could they allow such a scum to exist in Shangshan Ruoshui? But now that Chun Xiangnan was gone, he would have to worry about the heavy responsibility of being the security manager. The two deputy managers under him could not handle the overall situation. At the same time, he did not trust them. Not to mention, he would not consider inviting them from outside. So he had to find someone he could trust. He intended to train Qin Sheng. Naturally, he had to find two confidants for Qin Sheng. He felt that Chang Baji was good, so he sent someone to investigate about Chang Baji. The result was very satisfactory, so he looked for Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng and Jiang Xianbang chatted again and again, but Qing did not care about these trivial things. She only cared about eating. She ate very elegantly, unlike Qin Sheng, who did not care about his image. She chewed slowly as if she was tasting a work of art. Occasionally, she would look up at Qin Sheng and be lost in thought for a few seconds. Qin Sheng was stunned for a few seconds before he came back to his senses and said, "Poaching. Hey, what are you talking about? How is it poaching? Isn't it finding a partner for you?" Jiang Xianbang put down his chopsticks and laughed, with an expression that said, "I am such a person in your eyes." Qin Sheng held a chicken leg in his hand and said while eating, "Don't you know why I went through so much trouble to get help from Xian? Now that Han Bing's crisis has not been completely resolved, I can't take this risk. Besides, Brother Chong and I are friends, not superior and subordinate. Even if you want to invite him, it depends on whether he is willing or not. Zhou Wenwu and Zhao Dongsheng are done for. I've pleaded for you with Third Master Wu. Who would dare to make things difficult for Han Bing now? If you're really worried, then fine. Today I'll spread the word that Han Bing is my adopted daughter-in-law. If anyone dares to touch her, then he'll be making things difficult for me, Jiang Xianbang. Although I, Jiang Xianbang, am not powerful in the Yangtze River Delta, I still have some influence in the circle of the Bund. Han Guoping's old enemies really don't dare to provoke me. Is that okay?" Jiang Xianbang subconsciously prepared to smoke the cigarette, but was glared at by Qing Er. He smiled bitterly and had to put it down. Qing Er served him another bowl of soup. Upon hearing this, Qin Sheng said without hesitation, F***CKU. As soon as he said this, he regretted it. After all, Qing was still sitting next to him. No matter how familiar he was with Jiang Xianbang, he had to be wary of Qing Er's existence. After all, Qing, it was not so familiar to him that she did not care about anything. Sure enough, Qing Er's face changed instantly, and she stared at Qin Sheng angrily. Qin Sheng smiled awkwardly and said, "I'm sorry, I'm used to it." Jiang Xianbang burst into laughter when he saw Qin Sheng's defeated look. However, Qin Sheng was so angry that he had no way to vent his anger. "Look at you. You're not willing to suffer any losses. This can't do. Don't you want Han Bing to be safe and sound? Besides, this is just an excuse. You're not really going to marry Han Bing, are you?" Jiang Xianbang explained with a smile. Qin Sheng calmed down and thought about it. After Zhou Wenwu and Zhao Dongsheng died, Third Master Wu's side was settled by Jiang Xianbang. As long as Jiang Xianbang said this again, it was estimated that no one would dare to touch Han Bing. The most important thing was that Guoping Group had gone bankrupt and was restructured. All the forces were in it. Han Bing had no right to speak. Who would be so bored to vent their anger on a woman? Besides, with Hao Lei's protection, Chang Baji was really a bit of a talent to crack a nut. He might have some grievances. If he came to Shangshan or Washui, he would have a strong ally. Let me think about it. I'll talk to Brother Chang first and see what he thinks. If he is willing, I have no opinion. If he is not willing, then there's nothing I can do. Qin Sheng finally chose to retreat and acquiesced to Jiang Xianbang's suggestion. Jiang Xianbang said happily, "Don't worry, I won't treat Chang Baji badly. I'll treat him the same as Chun Xiangyang. Besides, you know very well what kind of people I'm in contact with. For him, this may just be a springboard. What do you think?" Qin Sheng did not deny this. "Okay, I'll go back and talk to him." Qin Sheng nodded silently. Everything had been settled. Jiang Xianbang was in a good mood. He picked up the bowl and drank the soup. "I'll wait for your news." After lunch, Jiang Xianbang packed his things and prepared to go to Beijing for a few days. He spent most of his time outside every year. The closer it was to the end of the year, the busier he became. Qing was preparing to go to school. There were 2 more classes in the afternoon. Qin Sheng and Qing went out together. He took a taxi. Qing had a white Mercedes CLS. This was not bought by Jiang Xianbang, but she earned it with her own ability. Out of politeness, Qing asked Qin Sheng, "Do you need a ride?" Qing was just being polite. Qin Sheng did not stand on ceremony and said, "Okay, I'll go to Shangshan Ruoshui." Qing was stunned and did not know whether to laugh or cry. This man really did not treat her as an outsider. Since she had already asked, she could only send Qin Sheng to Shangshan Ruoshui. "I heard from Uncle Jiang that you are a teacher at the Shanghai Music Academy." Qing did not speak on the way. Qin Sheng could only find a topic to ease the relationship. Who asked him to leave a bad impression in the eyes of a beauty? Qing nodded casually. "What do you teach?" Qin Sheng continued to ask. "Department of Folk Music, Guzheng." Qing still said indifferently. Qin Sheng smiled bitterly and said, "That's pretty good. If there's a chance, I'll listen to you play a song. I'm very interested in this. My grandfather used to play Eru and Guzheng when he was free. Occasionally, he would hum a few lines of Peking opera and Qin opera." "Oh," Qin Sheng said a lot, but Qing played it down with an O, which made Qin Sheng very frustrated. But there was nothing he could do. Who asked him to make this beauty unhappy again and again? Seeing that Qing was not interested, Qin Sheng did not think too much. He did not want to chase after her. At most, he just wanted to look at her. There was no need to take her too seriously. Women should not be spoiled. Beautiful women were spoiled by men. Did they really think that all the men in the world should revolve around them? Middle Huaihai Road was not far from Shangshan Ruoshui, so it did not take long to arrive. After the car stopped, Qin Sheng deliberately did not get off and stared at Qing for a few seconds. Qing slightly frowned and said, "What's wrong? I don't seem to owe you money." "It should be, we had an ill-fated relationship in our previous lives," Qin Sheng said thoughtfully. Before Qing came back to her senses, Qin Sheng had already got off the car and left. Qing muttered "psycho" and then drove away. Qin Sheng was preparing to go back to Shangshan Ruoshui to rest for a while and then start the afternoon work. A member wanted to invite a few friends. Mizzen had already appointed Liu Yuan and Qin Sheng to be responsible for it. When he just arrived at the gate of Shangshan Ruoshui, suddenly a man came out from behind the tree and kicked Qin Sheng's waist. Qin Sheng was talking to Jiang Xianbang and did not pay attention at all. He was directly kicked to the ground. Because it had just rained, Qin Sheng was stained with mud and water. At this moment, he was extremely embarrassed. "Damn it, you little bastard. How dare you snitch on me? Do you really think that I'm a pushover? Don't be fooled by the fact that I've left Shangshan Ruoshui. If I want to deal with you, it's a piece of cake." A man walked out with an extremely ugly expression and said to Qin Sheng, who was on the ground. Being attacked, Qin Sheng looked angry and looked back at the man who attacked him. It was Chun Xiangyang. He squinted his eyes and slowly climbed up. He sneered and said, "It turns out to be a stray dog kicked away by Shangshan Ruoshui. Only you can do this kind of sneak attack. I really overestimated you before." It was Chun Xiangyang who attacked Qin Sheng. He was fired by Jiang Xianbang and thought that the person who told him the secret was Qin Sheng. So he came to Qin Sheng to settle accounts with him in anger, but he was alone. "You don't deserve to scold me, bastard. Today is a lesson. You can rest assured that this thing is not over. I will play with you slowly," Qin Xiangyang said fiercely. If it was an ordinary person, he might be afraid of Chun Xiangyang. But what had Qin Sheng not seen? Did this kind of person deserve to make him afraid? "If I were you, I would not come back to find me, and I would not say these nonsense. After a period of time, find a way to follow me for a period of time. Find a dark and windy night and directly kill me with a knife. That is the best way to vent your anger. Most people like you are useless. You dare to say, but dare not to do it." Qin Sheng was not angry, but laughed and said. Qin Sheng's reaction made Chun Xiangyang nervous. Obviously, ordinary people would not be so shocked. He did not want to be entangled with Qin Sheng here. He scolded, "You don't need to care about me. Anyway, you better be careful." After that, Chun Xiangyang planned to leave. After all, this was the door of Shangshan Ruoshui. Even if he wanted to do something, he had to consider the consequences. "Want to leave after a sneak attack? Are you playing?" Qin Sheng shouted at Chun Xiangyang, imitating Song Xiaobao's tone. Chun Xiangyang squinted at Qin Sheng and said, "What? You little bastard, what else do you want?" "Little bastard?" Qin Sheng gritted his teeth and said, "Then you try. Who is the little bastard?" Before the voice fell, Qin Sheng had already rushed up. He hated being attacked from behind the most. If he did not fight back, he would really think that he was useless. Qin Sheng held his strength and fell from the sky to Chun Xiangyang. Chun Xiangyang's skills were absolutely powerful in the past. However, after being poisoned, he had been completely useless. What's more, his body was drained by wine and women. If he did not exercise for a long time, he would not be a tough opponent like Qin Sheng. But a skinny camel still had some weight. So he hurriedly took 2 steps back. Qin Sheng's foot fell in front of him, directly smashing the blue bricks on the ground and stirring up a splash of water. It could be seen that the strength of this foot was strong. Then Qin Sheng hit Chun Xiangnan's chest with his elbow. Chun Xiangnan's feet were not stable, and he faced another wave of impact from Qin Sheng. He had to hold Qin Sheng's elbow with both hands. Who would have thought that Qin Sheng's strength was too strong, and it directly hit his chest? He was about to fight back. Qin Sheng's right leg, which landed on the ground, had become a knee attack to his side waist. This speed really made him unable to keep up, let alone escape. In the next second, Qin Sheng's knee had hit his side waist. He, who was as thin as firewood, was directly knocked out and fell heavily into the water on the side of the road. Compared with Qin Sheng, he was more embarrassed. "You dare to deal with me? Then you can try. I will never let you down," Qin Sheng said coldly. Chapter 58. Interesting bookstore. Since 2012, when I stayed in Chengdu for more than half a year, I would go to Chengdu every year. This was also the reason why I wrote about Chengdu. I really liked this city. I had originally planned to go to Chengdu after the new year. After Zhao Lei's Chengdu caught fire, I wanted to go even more, but my body had collapsed. Of course, there are other reasons as well. The second reason is that I like Zhao Lei. I love him from the bottom of my heart. In 2009, I listened to Zhao Lei with him. His first song was Southern Girl. Later on, I would sing this song every time I went to KTV. Of course, there are other reasons as well. The second reason is the song about my dreams. As I get older, I am getting further and further away from what I wanted to do in the beginning. I often get caught up in contradictions. I need to take this time to recuperate and think about what I should do in the future. Actually, I am just like all of you. I am just an ordinary person who often gets caught up in contradictions. I'm troubled by all sorts of trivial matters. Recently, I just want to recuperate, read more books, and work hard to stabilize my updates. Qin Sheng's knee strike directly made Chun Xiangyang lie in the puddle and unable to get up. Qin Sheng did not use all his strength. Otherwise, a few of his ribs would have been broken. Qin Sheng left just like that. Chun Xiangyang stared at Qin Sheng's back, as if he had not come back to his senses. He did not expect that an ordinary receptionist would actually have such amazing skills. Even he was not a match for him. Perhaps only when he was at his peak could he suppress Qin Sheng. It was a pity that his body had long collapsed. He wanted to vent his anger, but he was humiliated instead. Chun Xiangyang's gaze was extremely sinister. He felt that everyone was forcing him, that the whole world was bullying him. Since they did not let him have an easy time, he would not let them have an easy time either. When a security guard at the door saw this scene, he was stunned and did not dare to come out to stop them. After all, Chun Xiangyang used to be their boss and treated them quite well. However, it was not right for him to find trouble with Qin Sheng. After all, everyone knew that he was involved. He would have to leave sooner or later because of drugs and gambling. In the monitoring room, when the person in charge saw this scene, he immediately contacted Su Lancheng and told him what was going on. Su Lancheng hurriedly ran to the monitoring room. At this time, it was already over. Qin Sheng had just returned to the changing room to change his clothes. "Replay," Su Lancheng said with a gloomy face. He could easily guess that Chun Xiangyang must have thought that Qin Sheng was the one who told on him, and that Qin Sheng had taken the blame for no reason. Poor kid. The security guard in charge of monitoring immediately replayed the scene just now. At first, Su Lanqing's face was gloomy, but in the end his eyes lit up. Especially after Qin Sheng defeated Chun Xiangyang without any hesitation, he was really surprised. He did not expect Qin Sheng's skills to be so powerful. Although Chun Xiangyang's body had collapsed, he still had some skills. It was definitely no problem for him to deal with ordinary characters. Su Lanqing finally understood why Jiang Xianbang arranged for Qin Sheng to enter Shangshan, Ruoshe. If nothing went wrong, Qin Sheng might take over his position in the future. Then what should he do at that time? Thinking of this, Su Lanqing smiled. He was really worrying for nothing. The big boss would definitely make arrangements. Moreover, he had made a lot of connections here. Many people offered high prices to poach him. It was only because of the big boss's appreciation that he stayed in Shangshan Ruoshe. Otherwise, he would have changed places long ago. I don't want others to know about this, Su Lanqing said to the security guards in the monitoring room after watching the replay. After returning to his office, Su Lanqing did not dare to hide it. He was afraid that if he did not say it, the big boss would know and punish him. So he quickly called the big boss. At this time, Jiang Xianbang was on the way to the airport. He received a call from Su Lanqing because he wanted to ask about the new security manager. He whispered, "Old Su, what's the matter?" Su Lanqing truthfully reported the scene that had just happened to Jiang Xianbang. After listening, Jiang Xianbang fell into deep thought and did not speak for a long time. Su Lanqing waited with fear. After a while, Jiang Xianbang said slowly, "This Chun Xiangyang is really bold. Does he think that I am a vegetarian?" "Mr. Jiang, what should I do?" Su Lanqing asked cautiously. Although Jiang Xianbang and Qin Sheng usually laughed and quarreled without scruples, in the eyes of Su Lanqing and the others, Jiang Xianbang was ruthless. The most important thing was that he had too many connections. Otherwise, if he asked for leniency, would Third Master Wu give him face? Since he dared to do this, he may do other things. After so many years in Shangshan Ruoshe, he knows too many things that he should not know. So let him close his eyes, in case he hurts too many people, Jiang Xianbang said lightly. In this way, Qin Xiangyang's fate was decided. Su Lanqing's face changed slightly, but he did not dare to ask for leniency. He just said, "Okay, I will inform them to do it." "Well, tell me when you are done. Don't have any accidents." "I'm hanging up." Jiang Xianbang nodded. He had been involved in a lot of bloodshed. He had long-term partners, but he never showed up. Su Lanqing was responsible for everything. Chun Xiangyang certainly did not know that from the moment he looked for Qin Sheng, the ending was already doomed. Jiang Xianbang would never allow anyone to threaten him or Qin Sheng, not to mention a small role like Qin Xiangyang. Qin Sheng got off work late today. The member who had a banquet did not leave until 8 o'clock, because Mizzen specially asked Liu Yuan and Qin Sheng to be responsible for it. Qin Sheng could only be busy. But to his surprise, when he returned to the new home of Shilin Huayuan, Hao Lei and Chang Baji had not come back yet. So Qin Sheng called them and asked what was going on. Hao Lei said that there was a banquet in Guoping Group tonight. The creditors and investors of Guoping Group were all there. Han Bing, who was still a shareholder of Guoping Group in the future, naturally had to attend, so the two of them had to work overtime. After hanging up the phone, Qin Sheng had nothing to do, so he wandered around the neighborhood. After all, this would be the place where he would live in the future. He wanted to familiarize himself with the surrounding environment, such as where there was a supermarket, where there was a vegetable market, where there was a place to eat and drink, and where there was a big healthcare and bath center. Of course, this was a joke. Qin Sheng did not like this kind of thing. After walking around for an hour, there was everything that should be around. After all, this was a bustling downtown area. However, Qin Sheng found an interesting bookstore on the roadside. There were no magazines or bestsellers in the bookstore. All kinds of books were published at least 2 years ago. There were many kinds of books, but most of them were about humanities, history, and philosophy. The bookstore was not big, and there was only one male cashier and 2 female clerks. Qin Sheng knew that this bookstore must be losing money. He did not know whether the boss was stupid or something, or he had some feelings. After all, many things nowadays depended on feelings. When Qin Sheng went in, the cashier smiled at him politely. 2 young female clerks shouted, "Welcome." Sir, what kind of books do you want to buy? I can recommend some to you. The younger female clerk asked politely. She made Qin Sheng feel a kind of book fragrance, but he did not know whether it was because of the environment. Whether it was shopping or buying things, Qin Sheng did not like waiters to disturb him, so he politely refused. Thank you. I will look at it myself first. Well, you can call me if you need anything, the female clerk said with a smile, and then left to do her own thing. Therefore, Qin Sheng began to look around the whole bookstore. The decoration was very old-fashioned, but felt good. Unlike the modern bookstores that were bright and beautiful like high-end shopping malls, there were books everywhere. There were a lot of books on the ground, and many of them were old books. Qin Sheng guessed that this bookstore also received books, but there were no decorations. There were a lot of small stools, obviously for people to stay and read. Humanities, history, and philosophy accounted for most of the books, followed by finance, technology, nature, medicine, and so on. Qin Sheng walked around for about half an hour, looking through each category in detail. In the end, Qin Sheng chose a history book, Wanli 15th Year, a finance book, The Big Short, and a philosophy book, The Social Contract Theory. These three books had a big gap. Therefore, when it was time to pay, the slightly younger female clerk stared at Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng could not help but ask, "What's wrong?" The female clerk was cute. She laughed and said, "You read a lot of books. A lot of things, but not good, so I can achieve nothing," Qin Sheng said half-jokingly. The female clerk pouted and said, "Nonsense. I think people who like to read will succeed sooner or later. What is success? So what if you succeed? Most righteous people are dog butchers. Most heartless people are scholars," Qin Sheng said with a little sigh. The female clerk said disapprovingly, "How old are you? You talk like an uncle in his 40s or 50s. People should live more optimistically, so that they can be happy." "Shaola." The cashier stared at the female clerk and shouted. Then he smiled at Qin Sheng and said, 50 yuan in total. So cheap? Qin Sheng was very surprised. 3 books only cost 50 yuan. Alas, the publishing industry is getting harder and harder. No wonder so many people are willing to spend tens of thousands of yuan on eating and entertainment, but are unwilling to spend tens of yuan to buy a book. This is an era of fragmented information. How sad. The female clerk called Xiao Lu replied, "Because 2 of your books are old, so it is cheap. We are different from other bookstores here. Can you make money? I'm really afraid that the next time I come, you will all be closed," Qin Sheng said casually. After saying that, he felt that it was inappropriate. Xiao Lu stared at Qin Sheng and said, "You really have a crow's mouth. Can't you say something nice? Really, our boss is very rich. You can rest assured that unless our boss goes bankrupt, it is impossible for our bookstore to close." No wonder. With such an explanation, Qin Sheng understood. It seemed that there was a story, otherwise, who could afford to pay for it? After giving the money and taking the books, Qin Sheng said thank you and then left. Not long after he returned to Shilin Huayuan, Chang Baji and Hao Lei came back, but they dragged Han Bing along. Because Han Bing drank too much tonight, no one took care of her. Chang Baji and Hao Lei could only drag her here on their own. There was no other way. Han Bing naturally had to face these things alone since Han Guoping was not around. Chapter 59. Turning, Hao Lei had gone to take a shower. Qin Sheng was going to talk about this, but he did not say it directly, but looked for an opportunity in a euphemistic way. Alas, she was so drunk that she became a pool of mud. You didn't stop her and let her drink like this? Qin Sheng said helplessly. Chang Baji poured a glass of water, shrugged his shoulders, and smiled bitterly. If we could stop her, we would have done it long ago. She didn't allow us to help her, nor did she let others drink for her. She just drank like crazy. What can we do? This silly woman. Qin Sheng did not know what she was thinking. Anyway, she was the only one who was suffering for drinking like this. Qin Sheng handed a cigarette to Chang Baji and said thoughtfully, "Brother Chang, you must be very bored these days. It's a bit unfair for you to protect a little girl." "What's wrong with that? I don't like what you said. I have a lot of fun. You don't know that there are so many beautiful women in Bing Bing's design company. When I'm bored, I flirt with those beautiful women. It's a different kind of fun. Chang Baji said happily. He really did not feel bored. When he had nothing to do, he would wander around Luji Azui or Sinan Mansion or chat with those beautiful women to kill time. People always find fun for themselves. Qin Sheng was speechless, but he really admired Chang Baji. This uncle's skill in flirting with girls was very good. No matter how beautiful they were, as long as they were women, he could make them happy. But his appearance was not so good. If he was more handsome, he would really be a woman killer. Qin Sheng felt that he was really gifted. If he had 30% of his skills, he would have been super amazing. I can only say that I admire you. Qin Sheng gave a thumbs up. Chang Baji laughed cheekily. Speaking of beautiful women, Qin Sheng had a topic to talk about. He smiled and said, "Speaking of beautiful women, I'm not bragging. The place where I work now is full of beautiful women. They're tall and have outstanding temperament. All of them are highly educated college students. Do you want to go there?" "I want to go there, but you're not the boss. Can you let me go there?" When it came to beautiful women, Chang Baji's eyes lit up. Qin Sheng said slowly, "You don't say there is really a chance. Our Shanshan Ruoshue's security minister resigned 2 days ago. This position is very important. The boss is choosing a candidate. Didn't you do this job before? I recommended you. Do you want to give it a try?" Upon hearing Qin Sheng's words, Chang Baji pointed at Qin Sheng and smiled playfully as he said, "Boy, you have so many tricks now. You've even dug a trap for me. Be honest, I don't think it's that simple." Shanshan Ruoshue is a top-notch membership club in the Bund. The members there are all rich and respectable. The big boss, Jiang Xianbang, and I have some connections. He also helped me with the Han family's matter before. That's why I went there. His security minister was fired, so he wants to find a new one. I recommended you. Are you interested? Chang Baji smiled bitterly and said, "You saw through me. Then I'll tell you the truth. Shanshan Ruoshue is a top-notch membership club in the Bund." Qin Sheng told the whole story half truthfully and half falsely. "What about Bing Bing? Can Hao Lei handle it alone?" Chang Baji did not rush to give an answer. He first considered Han Bing's safety. Qin Sheng replied, "I know you will definitely ask about this. Don't worry, it has been solved. No one will touch Han Bing in the future. Hao Lei alone is enough. Actually, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. After all, Brother Chang only came to Shanghai to help me. You didn't say that you want to stay in Shanghai. Moreover, you have lived in Xi'an for so many years. Everything is in Xi'an. I just want to ask for your opinion first." Qin Sheng said quickly, leaving some leeway for himself. Chang Baji shook his head as he smoked. "Shanghai is much more interesting than Xi'an. Xi'an is too boring. I have been ascetic for so many years. It's time to enjoy the colorful world of Shanghai. So I have decided to stay in Shanghai." "Really? Brother Chang, have you really decided?" Qin Sheng was a little surprised, but he was more surprised. Chang Baji nodded slowly and said, "How can I lie to you? Moreover, I am familiar with you and I can't bear to leave. But as for what you said, I can't promise you yet. I have my principles. I have to judge people. I can go, but you have to let me meet the boss first. If I approve of him, then I will go. If I don't, then let's forget about it." Chang Baji was telling the truth. He was not short of money. He just wanted to live comfortably. After listening to Chang Baji's words, Qin Sheng could understand. This was Chang Baji's style. Although Chang Baji did not agree immediately, there was still a chance. So he replied, "Okay, old Jiang went to Beijing these 2 days. When he comes back, you sit down and have chat. You can make the decision in the end." "Okay," Chang Baji said casually. He did not take it seriously at all. At this time, Hao Lei also finished showering. Chang Baji was ready to wash up and go to bed. Before he left, he stared at Qin Sheng's bedroom and did not forget to mock him. If you want to do something, now is the best time. Every minute of the night is worth 1,000 gold. We will not eavesdrop. In an instant, Qin Sheng's heart was racing. Still not sleeping? As soon as Chang Baji left, Hao Lei came out and showed a charming smile. Qin Sheng stared at him and said, "Let's sleep together tonight. I'm not gay." You really have a good fortune, but you do not enjoy it. It is intolerable. Hale wiped his hair and sighed. Qin Sheng scolded, Damn, I will sleep on the sofa, maid. After saying this, Qin Sheng went back to the bedroom and prepared to take out a blanket. He would make do on the sofa tonight. Anyway, the weather was not very cold. He estimated that by the end of the month, he would start to bear the magic damage of the southern winter. Qin Sheng had experienced it during his 4 years in university. In the bedroom, Han Bing, who was originally covered with the quilt, had kicked the quilt away. She was wearing an evening gown that slightly exposed her breasts. At this time, it also revealed her slender white legs. Qin Sheng even saw something with black lace. He quickly silently said, See no evil, see no evil. He covered Han Bing with the quilt again and poured a glass of water at the bedside. Only then did Qin Sheng go out with the blanket and make do on the sofa for the night. The next day, before Qin Sheng woke up, Han Bing had already gotten up. She woke up because she was thirsty. Only then did she realize that she was in a strange environment. After all, she had only been to this new house twice. Han Bing was a little scared and panicked. She thought that she was drunk and something happened to her. She quickly lifted the quilt to check and found that the situation was not what she imagined. Only then did she let out a long sigh of relief. After coming back to her senses, Han Bing carefully looked around the room and finally remembered where she was. She did not know whether to laugh or cry. She knew that it must be Chang Baji and Hao Lei who pulled her back. After coming out of the master bedroom, Han Bing saw Qin Sheng lying on the sofa. Qin Sheng was chased to the sofa by her. She tiptoed closer to Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng's sleeping posture was very peaceful. Her footsteps were very weak. But when she walked in front of Qin Sheng, who was very vigilant, was still surprised. He opened his eyes abruptly. Han Bing was so shocked that she cried out involuntarily and almost fell to the ground. You scared me to death. Han Bing covered her chest and gasped. Qin Sheng shook his head unhappily and said, You're awake? Yes. Han Bing muttered softly. I drank too much last night. Drink less in the future. Your health is important. Qin Sheng slowly got up and stretched. Han Bing was like a child who had done something wrong. She bit her lower lip and said, I know. I didn't do anything crazy last night, did I? No. Then you didn't do anything to me, right? Psycho. Han Bing muttered. Am I not charming at all? Having to go to work like this? I'll send you back to change your clothes first. Qin Sheng said casually. He was really impressed by this silly woman. He did not know what was going on in her mind. Han Bing looked at her embarrassed appearance. She could only ask Qin Sheng to send her back to take a shower and change her clothes. He would come back later. After all, it was only 6 o'clock. Back at Huan 9 Mile Bund, Han Bing was at ease with Qin Sheng. She took a shower in the bedroom while Qin Sheng watched the news outside. After a while, Han Bing changed her clothes and came out. The weather was getting cold, so Han Bing changed her style. She wore high heels with simple straight pants, a plain sweater and a black coat, and an Hermes scarf around her neck. Qin Sheng used to like women's long black hair. Second was when women tied up their hair. Who knew that after seeing Han Bing's shoulder-length hair, he felt that she was more and more beautiful. Is your wife beautiful? Feeling that Qin Sheng was looking at her, Han Bing felt a sense of accomplishment and teased him. Qin Sheng almost said beautiful but stopped in time. He rolled his eyes and shouted, Let's go. You must be hungry. Eat something and bring some breakfast for them. After eating and returning to Shilin Huayuan, Chang Baji and Hao Lei had just woken up. Seeing these two people coming in from outside, they were stunned. Hao Lei took a long time to react and said, Did you two go to get a room last night? You're worth teaching, Chang Baji commented like an experienced driver. It seemed that Qin Sheng really did not miss such an opportunity. He was indeed a man. He did the beauty Han just like that. Awesome. Han Bing blushed, while Qin Sheng scolded, What are you two thinking about every day? After saying that, he threw the breakfast to Hao Lei and said, Hurry up and eat breakfast. After that, scram. Chang Baji and Hao Lei both laughed out loud. Han Bing was like a little wife and did not say anything. After Han Bing and the others left, Qin Sheng searched the nearby gyms and prepared to find time to apply for a membership. Recently, he was a little decadent and did not exercise properly. His physical fitness had declined. This was a dangerous signal for a man who relied on his body to make a living. After choosing a few gyms, Qin Sheng planned to look at them one by one at night and choose a good environment. It was still early, so Qin Sheng was reading in his room. He was prepared to go to a bigger bookstore one day and choose a batch of books to enrich himself. Reading was Qin Sheng's greatest pleasure. No matter how busy or tired he would read. Back when he was in university, he often stayed in the library with Su Qin. After graduation, he traveled all over the country for more than 2 years. He always had 2 books in his bag. Even in the past few days, he would also find time to read. Chapter 60. A Small Circle. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Single dogs, please get rid of your single status as soon as possible. La la la. In the reception department of Shangshan Ruoshui, if Ms. In and the 2 deputy managers were included, there were 16 artists and 6 childs. A small part of them were old people who had been here since the opening of Shangshan Ruoshui. Most of them were newcomers, and the least experienced ones had only been here for 3 months. After all, there were many high-ranking officials and nobles who came to Shangshan Ruoshui. The artists were beautiful and elegant, so they would naturally be poached by many big shots. People always strive for higher places, just like how water flows downhill. Everyone would choose a better life. The luckiest one was chosen by a second-generation official in the south of Jiangsu and finally became the young mistress of this family. Many of them became mistresses of others, and some even entered the entertainment circle. Jiang Xianbang did not care about this. This society lacked everything except people. There were beautiful women everywhere. As long as the treatment was right, there would naturally be substitutes. He was happy to do them a favor. Moreover, he was tired of seeing a group of people, so it would be refreshing to change a group of people. Qin Sheng had been in Shangshan Ruoshui for some time. He could remember the appearance and name of everyone in Shangshan Ruoshui. But the most familiar one was naturally the group of people in the reception department. However, there was a small circle everywhere, and the reception department was the same. Liu Yuan was an old man in the reception department. Qin Sheng was led by him, so he was closer to him. Therefore, the artists in Liu Yuan's small circle were closer to him. There were 2 managers in the reception department. The man was called Wang Haichao. He was very good at what he said. He was close to all the big shots in Shangshan Ruoshui and always wanted to take Ms. An's position. The woman's name was Yu Fengji. She had the same name as the first wife of the patriotic hero Zhang Xiaoshui. When Qin Sheng heard this name, he guessed that she must be a treasure at home. If Mizzen was a ball of fire, then this beauty would be ice. She was known as the first beauty of Shangshan Ruoshui. She was definitely an ice beauty. However, she had a sense of propriety and was deeply loved by Mizzen. She was Wang Haichao's sworn enemy. She could not bear to see Wang Haichao fawn over manager Su and those top members. Liu Yuan was a neutral character. He had never been partial to anyone. This was also the reason why Mizzen liked him and asked him to take care of Qin Sheng. She just didn't want Qin Sheng to get involved. If there was another manager, it would definitely be Liu Yuan. After Mizzen made the announcement, the reception department was in an uproar. Qin Sheng had become a permanent employee after only half a month. In the past, the shortest period was 1 month. Basically, it was a 2-month probation period. Be quiet. I know you have your opinions, but Qin Sheng's performance during this period is obvious to all. He has learned what he needs to learn and has done well. Those members also praised him a lot. Even manager Su praised him a few times. Don't be fooled by your seniority. Do you think that you are better than Qin Sheng in terms of ability? Mizzen asked loudly. Wang Haichao was the first to refuse. This guy had a good appearance, and the female members liked him very much, so he was not afraid. He chuckled and said, Mizzen, do you want to reconsider? Mizzen was very disgusted with Wang Haichao. She knew that he had the support of several members and always wanted to take her position. So she sneered and said, This is not my decision. It is Manager Su's idea. If you want to reconsider, you can go to Manager Su. Wang Haichao was blocked by Ms. An's words, but he was not angry. He just smiled bitterly. Yu Fengji, who was next to him, glanced at him with disdain. She was not interested in Qin Sheng. Anyway, it had nothing to do with her. After all, he was Liu Yuan's man. After that, Mizan arranged a few more things, and soon the meeting was over. After Mizan left, Wang Haichao came directly to Qin Sheng and said in a strange tone, "Qin Sheng, congratulations. Do a good job." Qin Sheng just said thank you. Many people pointed at Qin Sheng and whispered there. Qin Sheng was too lazy to pay attention to them. Yu Fengji directly followed Ms. In and left, without the intention to congratulate Qin Sheng. Liu Yuan patted Qin Sheng's shoulder and said, "Do you remember what I told you at the beginning? Just do your own thing and don't pay attention to other trivial things." "I know." Qin Sheng nodded silently. At this time, a courtesan who had a good relationship with Qin Sheng smiled and said, "Qin Sheng, you are really amazing. I thought it would take you 1 or 2 months to become a regular member. I didn't expect you to become a regular member in half a month. It took me 2 months." This petite and lovely courtesan was called Tang Wan. She was a silly girl without any scheming. She was also trained by Liu Yuan. Because she was not scheming, she was always cheated by others. If it were not for Liu Yuan's protection, it was estimated that it would be difficult for her to stay. "It's all thanks to Brother Liu," Qin Sheng said politely. Tang Wan's chest was more magnificent. She was the #1 in the reception department. In private, everyone called her Big Chest Girl. She replied, "Then you have to invite Brother Liu to dinner. At that time, I will also join you." And me, Song Siu, who was not far away, ran over and said. She was also trained by Liu Yuan, but this beauty was much smarter. She had a good relationship with all parties and often chatted with Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng didn't care and said, "Okay, as long as everyone has time, I can come at any time. I don't mind you bringing your family. Tang, one has a boyfriend. I don't have one yet. Why don't you introduce one to me, or we can make do together." Song Siu, who had slightly curly hair and was said to have graduated from the China Academy of Fine Arts, joked. Qin Sheng knew that she was joking. According to this girl's vision, she would definitely not like him. During his time in Shangshan Ruoshui, he heard several people say that she was close to a member and their relationship was somewhat ambiguous. Obviously, she wanted to hook a rich husband. However, many courtesans in Shangshan Ruoshui had this idea, but there were too many monks and not enough meat. They could only rely on their own ability. So don't think about becoming friends with these women. "See you, if you really like me, let's go and get the certificate tomorrow." Qin Sheng thought so in his heart, but he was not afraid with his mouth. Song Siu said with a charming face, "Let's go. Do you think I dare not?" Liu Yuan smiled bitterly and shook his head. "Don't talk, go to work, or you'll be scolded." Tang Wan and Song Siu made faces at Liu Yuan and then took Qin Sheng to the second floor. That Wang Haichao really had a problem with Qin Sheng. There was nothing for others to do all morning, but Qin Sheng was arranged a lot of things. Qin Sheng was asked to move things, and then he was asked to go to the box to change the decoration. Qin Sheng knew what he meant, but he did not care about these little things. Since he had become a permanent member, Qin Sheng's working hours were the same as others, divided into morning shift and night shift. The morning shift was from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., which was similar to Qin Sheng's internship period. The night shift was from 5 p.m. to about midnight. However, Shangshan Ruoshui would not receive members after 11 p.m., so, as long as no new members came before 11 p.m., they could get off work after all the members left. Today, Qin Sheng was on the day shift and left at 5 p.m. Just after work, Qin Sheng was going to go to Han Bing's company for a while. Anyway, it was relatively close. Who knew that Xia Ding would call? This guy had been on a business trip in Hainan recently, so he had no time to harass Qin Sheng. He just came back and looked for Qin Sheng. He asked where Qin Sheng was, and Qin Sheng sent him his location. Not long after, he drove a brand new Aston Martin and shouted to Qin Sheng, "Boss, get in the car." This guy. Qin Sheng shook his head helplessly. However, The scene of him getting in the car was seen by Yu Fengji, who was just driving home. Yu Fengji looked at the Aston Martin Shadow and thought about something. Boss, I haven't seen you for a few days. I miss you very much. Xia Ding, who was wearing a trendy brand, said with inexplicable excitement. Qin Sheng said disdainfully, I think you miss your flowers and plants. That's not true. My goal is to have mother-in-law everywhere in the motherland. How can this small Shanghai imprison my soul and body? Xiaoding shook his head and sighed. Qin Sheng was too lazy to care about this guy. This guy was destined to be a Ronin. Do you know who I met in Sanya? Xiaoding said with interest. Who? Who else can it be? Yuan left from Fudan University. He went on vacation with his fiancée. We all live in the Intercontinental, and then we met at breakfast. Ha ha! Xiaoding laughed. At that time, the two of them stared at each other, and then laughed at the same time. Have you seen Lao Si's fiancée before? How is the girl? Qin Sheng was more interested. What kind of girl could accept Lao Si, this demon? I met her once before, but it was just a hurried meeting. Most of the time, he and I are alone. There are no outsiders. This time in Sanya, we talked more. I think the girl is really good. He said he will bring her to Shanghai next time and let you take a look at her. Xiaoding was quite satisfied with the girl. He could definitely marry her. Anyway, he had no plans to get married now, and his family was also lax with him. You guys are so carefree, but I, an office worker, am suffering, Qin Sheng said with a helpless look. How is work in Shangshan Ruoshui? I heard a lot of people talk about this place, but I have never been there. I have a chance to see it. I know that Lao Jiang often helps people to buy goods in the antique market and had a lot of fixed big customers. Xiaoding was concerned about Qin Sheng's work. Qin Sheng had told him about this. He did not say much about Qin Sheng's work because Qin Sheng was a very assertive person. Qin Sheng really did not know about these things. He had not been so deeply involved. Thinking that Jiang Xianbang started his career in this field, Qin Sheng could understand. It's just so, but there are a lot of beautiful girls there. Do you want me to introduce you to some? Qin Sheng said half-jokingly. Xiaoding laughed and said, Boss, you're being very kind. Go away in your dreams. How can I push a good girl into the fire pit? Qin Sheng laughed and scolded. Xiaoding sighed with a disappointed look on his face. Where are we going? Qin Sheng asked puzzledly. Xiaoding explained casually. Do you remember what I told you last time? There's a charity dinner at the end of the month on this weekend, and all the people are famous in Shanghai. My old man gave me a task. I don't want to bring girls there, and I am preparing to go hunting. You can just accompany me to complete the task. I will take you to IFC to buy a good outfit first. Just take it as a gift from me to you when you return to Shanghai. This weekend? Charity dinner? Qin Sheng said thoughtfully. Xiaoding stepped on the accelerator and sped up, overtaking a guy who was driving a Porsche next to him. At the same time, he said, Didn't you say that we will share blessings and misfortunes together? If it is really boring, we will retreat in advance, okay? Okay, Qin Sheng said helplessly. Chapter 61. Venting, begging for monthly votes, begging for collection. As an international metropolis, Shanghai had the most luxury shopping malls, such as Hong Kong Exchange, Hanglong, Jiuguang, etc. But the Guijin Center was definitely the best, with annual sales ranking in the top 5 in the country. After all, it was located in the strategic town of Pudong. Xiaoding, who lived in number 1 Zhongliang Ocean View, went to the Guijin Center the most. Firstly, it was the shortest distance, and secondly, it had the most brands. He often took girls there to shop, so that he became a VIP of all the major brands. Anyway, his father never cared about this, as long as he did not cause any trouble. As for worldly possessions like money, they were only money if they were spent. If they cannot be spent, they were just numbers and paper. Didn't people earn money to spend? With such a father, Xiaoding was naturally unscrupulous. However, he still had a sense of propriety. He was never careless when it came to major matters, which was also one thing that Qin Sheng recognized about him. Jiang Xianbang's company was in the Guijin Center, and Qin Sheng had been there several times. Xia Ding parked his car in the underground garage, then went straight to Ferragamo. He preferred Italian brands. But as soon as he arrived at Ferragamo, a beautiful woman with long hair and a trench coat in her hand, wearing high heels, smiled and waved at them. While Qin Sheng was wondering what was going on, Xia Ding quickly walked over and hugged the beautiful woman. Then he pulled the beautiful woman over and said, "Boss, this is my girlfriend, Fei Fei." "Hello, boss," Fei Fei, who looked like a standard internet celebrity, said obediently. The speed of changing girlfriends was really faster than changing clothes. In a short period of less than 2 months since he returned to Shanghai, he had already seen 3 or 4 girlfriends, and all of them were goddess-like. Was this guy not afraid of being punished by retribution? Qin Sheng thought to himself. "Hello." Qin Sheng greeted politely. Anyway, the next time they met would probably be a different person. Xia Ding put his arm around Qin Sheng's shoulder and said, "When 2 men go shopping, people will think that we are gay. Besides, when men buy clothes, they must let women choose according to their taste. Fei Fei has good taste. I believe in her. Boss, you have a well-proportioned body, so you should look good in anything you wear. Ferragamo's men's clothes are not bad, so you could try a few sets first." Fei Fei was a flight attendant. Her family was not bad, but she was far from Xia Ding's. However, her taste was indeed good, which was what Xia Ding admired. Therefore, accompanied by Fei Fei, Qin Sheng tried on several sets of clothes in men's clothing stores such as Ferragamo, Zegna, Versace, and so on. He also tried on a pair of calf-head leather shoes. After an hour, he finally succeeded, thanks to Fei Fei. Qin Sheng originally thought that this beauty was just a vase, but he did not expect that she actually had a deep understanding of these things. After asking her about it, he found out that she had studied abroad before and had even stayed in a fashion magazine for a period of time. Xia Ding was rich and overbearing. He was willing to spend money on people who were to his taste, even if they cheated him. He would only pretend to be someone who was not to his taste. Therefore, as long as Fei Fei felt that it was suitable, he would buy it for Qin Sheng. However, Qin Sheng only agreed to buy 1 set. After buying the clothes, Xia Ding felt that he still lacked one thing, which was a watch. If the highlight of a woman was the pendant on her neck, then the highlight of a man was definitely the hour hand on his wrist. Xia Ding was a watch fanatic and often hung out in the watch forum. It was said that the poor play with cars, the rich play with watches, and the stupid play with SLR. Xia Ding belonged to this type. He had collected famous works from various major brands, and now he was wearing a Lang Saxon. "Boss, you are lacking a watch now. Let's go, I'll pick one for you." Xia Ding stared at Qin Sheng and said thoughtfully. IFC had Vacheron Constantin, Wanghua, Lang, and Rolex. It was not difficult to pick a suitable one for Qin Sheng. When Qin Sheng heard this, he shook his head firmly and said, "No need, I have one here." Originally, this set of clothes cost more than 30,000 yuan. A watch would cost at least 10,000 yuan. Qin Sheng was really willing to be so extravagant. He was used to a simple life. His grandfather often taught him that it was easy to go from frugal to extravagant, but difficult to go from extravagant to frugal. Therefore, he hoped to always maintain this original intention and not be affected by the flashy society. "This watch of yours is quite old. Change to another one." Xia Ding looked at the old Shanghai watch on Qin Sheng's wrist and said disapprovingly. In his eyes, these domestic watches were really not good. They were too far behind those big brands. The top ones are the custom made by those independent watchmakers. He wanted to get a custom made by the god of watch, Philip Duffer. Unfortunately, he did not have the means to do so. Thinking of that cat chairman from Hong Kong who got 3 custom-made watches, Xia Ding could only feel envy, jealousy, and hatred. Qin Sheng stared at Xia Ding and said, "I appreciate your kindness. I'll buy it next time. Fei Fei has accompanied us for so long. Let's go eat first." To be honest, Qin Sheng did not want to change this watch because his grandfather said that this was left to him by his mother. It was given by his grandfather to his mother and finally given to him. Whenever he was in a bad mood, Qin Sheng would stare at the watch. He knew that the woman, who was like all mothers, was always with him. Since Qin Sheng had already said so, if Xia Ding insisted, the taste would change. Therefore, he could only follow Qin Sheng. Fei Fei was quite familiar with this place, so she chose a Chinese restaurant that was not expensive. They settled their dinner casually. After dinner, Qin Sheng left first, leaving the space for Xia Ding and Fei Fei. After returning to Shilin Huayuan, Qin Sheng took a shower and changed his clothes. He went straight to the gym that he had chosen. After registering for the membership, he began to do recovery exercises. There were quite a lot of beautiful girls in this gym, but Qin Sheng was not interested. He was not here to pick up girls, and he did not need those useless private lessons. Qin Sheng did not return to Shilin Huayuan until 9 o'clock sharp. Chang Baji and Hao Lei had already returned. Qin Sheng told them that he found a gym nearby, and they could go to exercise together in the future. Chang Baji and Hao Lei were the same kind of people as Qin Sheng. They had to keep their bodies in the most perfect state so that when they encountered danger, there would be no accidents. Therefore, they naturally agreed. The next day, Qin Sheng was still on the day shift. Just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, an Aston Martin drove into Shangshan Ruoshui. At that time, Qin Sheng was not in the hall, but downstairs learning how to choose wine. After a while, the front desk called Qin Sheng to go to the Shan private room on the second floor. Qin Sheng was a little confused. There was no work arranged for him at noon. When he arrived at the door of the Shan private room, the ice beauty, Yu Fengji, was already waiting for him. She just nodded at Qin Sheng, then pushed the door open and smiled lightly. "Mr. Xia, Qin Sheng is here." Qin Sheng then saw what was going on. It turned out that Xia Ding, the bastard, was here. This guy really did what he said. Yesterday, he said that he would have the opportunity to broaden his horizons, and today he came for a stroll. Because Yu Fengji and the other two artists were present, Qin Sheng could only maintain a smile, but he was cursing this guy in his heart. At this time, Xia Ding waved his hand to signal the others. "You all go out. No one is allowed to come in without my permission." Yu Fengji smiled politely. "Okay, Mr. Xia. Mr. He, I will be outside. If you need anything, you can call me." When Yu Fengji went out, she quietly looked at Qin Sheng. What was this man's background? He became a permanent member in less than half a month, and was also valued by managers Su and Mizzen. What was his relationship with this member and his friend? Ha, surprised. "Boss, there are a lot of beauties in Shangshan Ruoshui." When there were no outsiders, Xia Ding directly pulled Qin Sheng to sit down and laughed. Qin Sheng was speechless. "You really have nothing to do. What are you doing for a stroll?" The friend next to Xia Ding was stunned. He had never seen anyone scold Xia Ding like this. This guy was just an ordinary child in Shangshan Ruoshui, but he was quite bold. "Lao He, this is the boss of our dormitory, Qin Sheng." Xia Ding came here through his connections. His family had business dealings with Jiang Xianbang, so he was a member here. "Boss, this is my good friend Ipu. You can also call him Mr. Piao." When Ipu heard this, he immediately cursed at Xia Ding. Then he took the initiative to reach out and said, "Brother Qin, don't listen to his nonsense. Just call me Lao He." After the two shook hands, Qin Sheng picked up the teapot and smiled. "Let me make some tea for you." "Boss, we just want to drink water. We were just bored and came to see you. There are no outsiders here. Don't really think of yourself as a waiter. If I dare to let you serve me, young master, you will come to Shanghai with a machete to kill me." Xia Ding said tactfully. They were brothers. There was no other relationship. Ipu was very confused. Xia Ding and Qin Sheng lived in the same dormitory, so he must have graduated from Fudan University. Why did he come here to work? But he did not ask much. After all, he was just here to accompany Xia Ding for a stroll. The few of them chatted for a while before Wang Haichao ran over with a smile on his face. He was the one who received Hipu every time he came, but Yu Fengji was the one who was busy just now. Now that she was done with her work, she rushed over to greet him. But when Wang Haichao entered the door, he saw Qin Sheng sitting next to him. His face immediately turned gloomy. He did not care about Hipu and Xia Ding. He frowned and shouted, "Qin Sheng, why are you sitting here?" Qin Sheng did not expect Wang Haichao to enter without knocking on the door, so he quickly got up. Just when Pu was about to say something, Xia Ding, who was beside him, pressed his leg down. Xia Ding was a little angry. Who the hell do you think you are? How dare you barge in without knocking on the door? Don't you know the rules of Shangshan Ruoshui? Wang Haichao stared at Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng did not say anything. He then looked at Pu and said, Mr. He, I'm sorry. I'm a new young master. Maybe he doesn't know the rules. This is... Pu did not introduce him. He just squinted at Wang Haichao. Wang Haichao saw that Pu did not speak and was puzzled. Are you the manager? Xia Ding took the initiative to speak. Wang Haichao replied proudly. I'm Wang Haichao, the deputy manager of the reception department. It's my first time meeting you. How should I address you? Address you? Who the hell do you think you are? Who allowed you to come in and shout? You're just a deputy manager and you're so arrogant? Don't you know that I don't allow anyone to come in? Xia Ding stood up and scolded Qin Sheng right to his face, which could be considered as helping Qin Sheng vent his anger. Qin Sheng did not say anything, but Xia Ding understood even more clearly that this guy and Qin Sheng did not get along. Otherwise, with Qin Sheng's way of handling things, he would definitely explain it clearly immediately. Wang Haichao was stunned. What the hell was going on? Damn you, call the person in charge here. Everyone says that Shangshan Ruoshui is a good place. So this is the case. Who the hell dares to barge in without informing us? F*CK. Xia Ding shouted unscrupulously. Anyway, with the relationship between Jiang Xianbang and Qin Sheng, no matter how much trouble they caused, nothing would happen. Moreover, Pu was beside them. Yu Fengji and the rest heard the commotion outside and immediately ran in. Mr. Xia, Mr. He, what's going on? Didn't I tell you just now that no one is allowed in? Are you deaf? Xia Ding shouted at Yu Fengji. Yu Fengji was secretly happy. Anyway, she had already said it. Wang Haichao thought that he had a good relationship with Pu. Mr. Xia, I've already said it, but Manager Wang, Yu Fengji explained. Not only did her explanation not work, but it also added fuel to the fire. Wang Haichao stared at Yu Fengji. He cursed in his heart that this bitch was playing tricks on him, but there was nothing he could do. Chapter 62. Who played who to death? If anyone has any opinions, you can post them in the Zongheng app circle or in the book review section. Or if anyone has any more interesting plot directions, Qin Sheng did not want to get involved in the internal strife of the reception department. They could do whatever they wanted, as long as they did not vent their anger on him. He was only here to gain experience. However, this Wang Haichao just had to disgust him. Perhaps it was because he had just arrived at Shangshan Ruoshui and his performance was too conspicuous, stealing his limelight, which made him unhappy. Most importantly, he was not Wang Haichao's man. Wang Haichao could barge in because he was too arrogant, thinking that he was someone important in Shangshan Ruoshui, and because he was close to Pu. Secondly, Yu Fengji deliberately made things difficult for him. If Yu Fengji wanted to stop him, Wang Haichao would definitely not be able to enter. Shangshan Ruoshui's rules were very strict. Qin Sheng, who did not smile, stood at the side and pondered over the situation. He glanced at Yu Fengji, who was not far away. He knew that this woman wanted to use him as a tool. Mr. Xia, I'm sorry. It's my fault. Wang Haichao realized that something was wrong and quickly replied. Xia Ding did not care about him at all. Pu, who was beside him, could not be bothered with him. A small deputy manager of the reception department wanted to be his brother. His circle was too cheap. Between Xia Ding and Wang Haichao, he naturally stood on Xia Ding's side and let Xia Ding do what he wanted. Xia Ding knew what he was doing. Xia Ding's intention was even more obvious. As long as Qin Sheng did not stop him, he would continue to cause trouble. You're wrong? You just need to say that you're wrong? You barged in from outside and shouted at my friend. Did you open Shangshan Ruoshui? Ah. Xia Ding reprimanded him loudly. Wang Haichao cursed in his heart, but his face was trembling. At this time, Mizan and Su Lansheng also arrived in time. As long as there was a situation, they would be the first to come out. Shangshan Ruoshui's motto was that the interests of the members came first. As for the employees, it was still the same. Shanghai was so big, there was no shortage of people. As long as the big boss did not fall, Shangshan Ruoxue would always be open. After Su Lanqing came in, he immediately asked, Xiao He, what's going on? Su Lanqing had a close relationship with Jiang Xianbang, and he also had connections with the He family. Furthermore, he had been an official in the past, and his status was not something Wang Haichao could compare to. Hence, when he addressed He Pu as Little He Pu had to respectfully address him as Uncle Su. Uncle Su, you have to ask him. He Pu pointed at Wang Haichao, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. He then introduced Wang Haichao to Xia Ding. Old Xia, this is the person in charge of Shangshan Ruoxue, Manager Su. Hello, Director Su. Xia Ding immediately smiled and took the initiative to greet him. Su Lanchang asked politely, Mr. Xia, my men are not sensible. If they have offended you, please forgive them. Director Su, it's nothing. Qin Sheng and I are university classmates, and we haven't seen each other for a long time. I heard that he is in Shangshan Ruoxue, so I dragged He Pu with me to catch up with us. I also told your artist not to let anyone in, Xia Ding explained slowly. Qin Sheng had already signaled him with his eyes, and he knew what to do. He pointed at Wang Haichao and continued, Your manager barged in without even knocking on the door. I won't say anything about him barging in, but who does he think he is? He yelled at us and gave us orders. I used to hear that Shangshan Ruoxue is a good place, and today I've seen it for myself. Hearing this, Su Lanqing's face darkened. He stared at Wang Haichao and said, Is this what happened? Director Su, I'm sorry. It's my fault, it's all my fault. Wang Haichao did not expect things to turn out this way. Firstly, he had underestimated Qin Sheng, and secondly, Yu Fengji had set him up. Su Lanchang snorted and said, What's the use of apologizing to me? Have you forgotten the rules of Shangshan Ruoxue? Wang Haichao knew when to yield. He gritted his teeth and faced Xia Ding directly. He slapped himself several times. The slaps were crisp and powerful, and everyone in the room could hear it. He slapped himself and said, Mr. Xia, I'm sorry. I know I'm wrong. Please forgive me. At this point, Xia Ding also knew that it was time to end this. He waved his hand and said, All right, it's nothing. Just be careful in the future. Su Lancheng took the opportunity and said, You'll be suspended for a week, your monthly bonus will be deducted, and your salary will be halved. Get out. Wang Haichao had no objection to this. He could only bear with it. He left the room with an aggrieved and embarrassed look, and the others followed him out. Su Lancheng and Mizzen were still at the side. Mizzen was sizing Qin Sheng up. Since Xia Ding said that they were university classmates, she found that Qin Sheng looked calm and indifferent, as if this had nothing to do with him. At the same time, she could tell that he did not take Wang Haichao seriously, or else he would have shown up. I'm sorry, Mr. Xia, Su Lancheng said with a smile. Xia Ding laughed and said, Mr. Su, it's nothing. Uncle Su, we're all family. You don't have to be so polite. Go ahead, we'll have tea and catch up, He Pu said as a peacemaker. All right, if you need anything, just let me know. You can come often. After saying this, Su Lanching left with Mizzen. Wang Haichao had been in Shangshan Ruoxue for a long time and was a little conceited. Today's incident could be considered as a warning to him. When they left, Su Lanching looked at Qin Sheng with a complicated expression. Everyone left, leaving only Qin Sheng and Mizzen in the room. Xia Ding passed a cigarette to the two of them and said with a smile, Boss, to be honest, you feel a little wronged in such a small place. I don't know what you're thinking. When you were in Fudan, Professor Li recommended you to continue to study philosophy at Oxford or Cambridge. You might become a great man in the future. Who knew that you would run away right after graduation, without even a graduation photo? Don't mention the past. Do you think I really love philosophy so much? Didn't I tell you that interest is secondary? The most important thing is to relax, Qin Sheng said honestly. He Pu, who was standing at the side, laughed out loud. Qin Sheng was really interesting. So many people from the lower class were trying their best to get into a popular major in a prestigious university. They wanted to change their fate with knowledge, but Qin Sheng purposely chose an unpopular major. I don't know what you're thinking. You could have found a good job anywhere, but you insisted on being a waitress here. I didn't even dare to tell second brother and Lao Si about this, Xiaoding muttered. He did not want to say anything at first, but today he saw that a small fry dared to show off in front of Qin Sheng. He was furious. Qin Sheng said casually, I have my own choice. You don't have to care so much. I definitely won't stay here forever, don't worry. Anyway, I don't understand your life, but you know it yourself. Xia Ding shrugged. He did not want to interfere too much with Qin Sheng's life. All right, let's drink some tea and chat for a while. You go do what you need to do. Xia Ding and He Pu only stayed in Shangshan Ruoshui for less than an hour, after which they went back to work. They were all rich playboys with careers. They would play when they wanted to, but when it came to work, they would not be sloppy. Wang Haichao had already changed his clothes and left Shangshan Ruoshui. Su Lancheng did not look for Qin Sheng because of this, and Mizan only smiled when she saw Qin Sheng. When Qin Sheng was tidying up the wine cabinet in a private room, the icy beauty Yu Fengji slowly pushed the door open and walked in. Qin Sheng looked up slightly and was stunned for a moment when he saw her. Then he ignored her and continued to do his own things. I didn't expect you to be so well hidden. Yu Fengji walked to Qin Sheng's side with elegant steps and smiled as she leaned against the wine cabinet. She formed a graceful posture. No wonder so many male compatriots and male members of Shangshan Ruoshui were attracted to her. She also knew how to use her advantages. Qin Sheng squatted on the floor and looked at Yu Fengji from this angle. Other than her long legs, the most eye-catching part was her soft breasts. After tidying up the wine cabinet, he slowly stood up and said, What do you mean? What's your background? An ordinary person? You don't look like one. You became a permanent member in half a month. Both Mr. Su and Mizan think highly of you, and you even know a few members. Could it be that you are a playboy who came here to experience the suffering of the world? Yu Fengji stared at Qin Sheng and snorted. Since you want to play, then I will play with you. Qin Sheng approached Yu Fengji calmly. Suddenly, he turned around and put his hands on the wine cabinet, trapping Yu Fengji under him. They were almost face to face and could feel each other's breath. Qin Sheng's eyes were unscrupulously looking at Yu Fengji's figure. Yu Fengji's heart started to beat faster. No one in Shangshan Ruoshui dared to do this. What do you want? Yu Fengji said nervously. Although it was impossible for anything big to happen here, if Qin Sheng took advantage of her, she would not be able to say anything. What do I want? Qin Sheng showed a slightly lascivious smile. Then, one of his hands went down and directly climbed up Yu Fengji's long legs and black stockings. He stroked it like a lover, enjoying the feeling brought by the silk stockings. Yu Fengji's face changed instantly. She was extremely angry. Without hesitation, she slapped Qin Sheng, but Qin Sheng directly grabbed her wrist and pressed it against the wine cabinet. Yu Fengji did not stop there. Her other hand followed closely. Qin Sheng gave up the extremely tempting long legs and black stockings. Although he missed that feeling, he could not let himself be slapped. In this way, Yu Fengji's arms were pressed against the wine cabinet by Qin Sheng. She wanted to kick Qin Sheng, but her knees were blocked by Qin Sheng. This time, she completely lost the chance to resist. At this moment, this posture was extremely ambiguous. It was like a man and a woman in love. Drywood met a raging fire and they were ready to fight. Especially Yu Fengji's arms were tightened, revealing her sexy collarbone and her whole soft breasts. What do you want? If you don't let go, I'm going to shout. Yu Fengji stared at Qin Sheng and shouted. Qin Sheng said disapprovingly, Go ahead and shout. Let everyone quickly come in and see what we are doing. I'm a man and I don't care about these things. You must care. Do you believe that I will make you unable to stay in Shangshan Ruoshui? Yu Fengji threatened. Qin Sheng leaned forward, almost lying on Yu Fengji's body. He took 2 deep breaths in her ear. The fragrance was charming. Then, he sneered and said, If you don't believe me, you can try. Let's see who can't stay in the end. The most sensitive part of Yu Fengji's body was her ears. Qin Sheng breathed and spoke in her ear, which made her feel extremely uncomfortable at this moment. She was afraid that if this went on, her whole body would completely collapse in Qin Sheng's arms. So, she almost broke down and said, "Qin Sheng, what do you want?" The corner of Qin Sheng's mouth slightly rose, revealing a charming smile, and said, "What do I want?" "I do want to do something, but this is not the place." After saying this, Qin Sheng's eyes suddenly changed. He said very seriously, "Do you really think I don't know what you want to do today? In the future, if you dare to use me as a tool or test me, then you can play with me. Let's see who will play who to death in the end." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.